Hi everyone. Welcome back to the channel, Six Path Weeb. Today, we're diving into part 2 of a magical what-if scenario. What if Naruko had been born with wizard powers? Get ready for spellbinding twists, epic chakra clashes, and a version of the Naruto world you've never seen before. Quick disclaimer, this content is purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any of the anime footage used, all rights and credit go to the original creators and copyright holders. Alright then. Let's get started, guys. Time skip, Naruko age, 11, third year at the academy. The conclusion of the third year at the academy was rather uneventful for Naruko Uzumaki. While the classes had become more engaging, thanks to lessons in chakra theory, control, sparring sessions, and training with throwing weapons, it still wasn't anything particularly thrilling. However, it was enough to keep her from daydreaming or nodding off, much to Iruka-sensei's relief. Throughout that year, Naruko chose to keep many of her abilities to herself. Her daily training in the restricted training grounds, especially within the depths of the Forest of Death, had yielded noticeable progress, particularly with her signature tools, ebony and ivory. These unique weapons were securely sealed into the palms of her hands, a safety measure she preferred over carrying external holsters, which could be lost or stolen. It was the Nine Tails' idea to consider holsters, but Naruko opted for a more secure approach using storage seals. She also realized it was time to improve her academic standing. Keeping a low profile wouldn't help her graduate if she drew too much negative attention. Despite an attempt by Mizuki to interfere with her future, Naruko managed to rank 4th in her class, thanks to her precision in weapon throwing, solid performance in sparring matches, where she sometimes held back to maintain the illusion of average ability, and a deliberately calculated score on her written exams. Her personal training schedule resumed in full force after she mastered her firearms. Her accuracy had improved dramatically after months of dedicated practice in the forest. Though she didn't want to disturb the forest's natural balance, she used low-powered chakra rounds to harmlessly stun wild creatures instead of causing harm. Still, she did find some excitement in using more potent chakra shots on the large, menacing spiders that occasionally crossed her path. Naruko had recently taken to reading Black Cat, looking for inspiration to create new techniques. One skill in particular, the rail gun, caught her interest. While she was grateful for the detailed explanations in the manga, she held off on practicing it, knowing it required lightning-based chakra, something she hadn't yet mastered. The Nine Tails, however, was fascinated by the idea of a portable storage weapon system, something he nicknamed Steven's suitcase of surprises. Naruko promised to experiment with it when she had the time. Although her progress in developing her clan-based abilities wasn't groundbreaking, it was significant enough to give her an edge in future missions. One major step forward was the chakra shield, a protective technique that began activating almost automatically when she sensed danger. The Nine Tails believed this was because her bloodline ability had adapted, linking the shield directly to her instincts. It wasn't perfect, it didn't activate when a tiger surprised her during a quiet evening, but it had saved her on another occasion, proving its usefulness. Another application of her chakra magic was physical enhancement. While most ninja learn to reinforce their bodies or strikes with chakra, Naruko's version allowed her to channel chakra magic to specific parts of her body instantly. She'd knocked over more than a few trees during practice sessions, though the technique came at the cost of high chakra consumption. She hoped to eventually reach the same level of strength as Lady Tsunade, but the Nine Tails warned that such power required flawless chakra control, something difficult for Naruko, whose chakra reserves continued to grow with age and training. Elemental experimentation had hit a wall. Fire-based jutsu were manageable, but attempts with other elements had been unpredictable and often left her feeling unwell. The Nine Tails explained that she would need to study elemental chakra manipulation, a subject usually taught at higher ranks, before advancing to more complex techniques like elemental creation. Naruko was resting in her apartment, enjoying a well-deserved break after the term ended. With 2 months off before the next semester, she was more than ready for a nap. That plan, however, was cut short by a knock at the door. Letting out a quiet sigh, she got off the couch, stretching out the stiffness from lying down too long. Opening the door, she was greeted by an Onbu operative wearing a cat-themed mask. "Yes? How can I help you?" Naruko asked, rubbing the sleep from her eye. She really wanted to get back to her cozy couch. The Nine Tails echoed her sentiment with grumbling complaints in her mind. "Uzumaki-san, the Hokage has requested your presence in his office," the masked Onbu responded calmly. Naruko nodded. "Alright, I just need a moment to change. Want to come in while I get ready? I think you already know I have my own way of getting around." The Onbu stepped inside with a polite nod. "Thank you, Uzumaki-san." Just call me Naruko. Everyone does. She disappeared into her room to change. A few minutes later, she returned dressed in a dark blue shirt and black cargo pants. The Anbu stood silently near the door, discreetly observing the well-furnished apartment. Naruko walked up and offered her hand. Ready? It'll be quicker than hopping over rooftops. The Anbu took her hand, and in a blink, they reappeared in the Hokage's office. The elderly leader looked momentarily startled, while the masked visitor swayed slightly from the sudden travel. What was that? The Anbu asked, clearly caught off guard. That was my teleportation technique, Naruko explained with a sheepish smile. I can jump between places I've been to before. Sorry for the surprise, first time bringing someone along. Just give me a heads up next time, the Anbu replied before vanishing silently into the shadows. Naruko watched in awe. That was cool. I wonder if I could learn something like that. Her thoughts were cut off by a cough from the Hokage. Hello, Naruko-chan. I appreciate you coming on such short notice. Please, take a seat. Hey, Gigi. What's going on? She asked, settling comfortably in the chair across from him. There are 2 reasons I called you here, he began. First, I miss speaking with you. I know you've been focused on training, and that clone of yours has been attending classes in your place. Naruko blinked in surprise. How did you know about that? The Hokage chuckled. Let's just say I have my ways. I also admire how you've used your time wisely, balancing school and personal development. He paused for a moment before continuing. Second, I'd like to get a better sense of your current abilities. One of my trusted jounin has been monitoring the Forest of Death and reported some rather impressive activity. I think it's time I saw what you're capable of, firsthand. Naruko tilted her head, curious. Why the sudden interest? And what's this plan you mentioned? The Hokage gave her a knowing smile. You'll find out soon enough. That's for me to know and for you to discover, eventually, said the Hokage with a light smile as he stood from his chair. He extended a hand toward Naruko, signaling her to teleport them to her training area and training ground 44. Naruko nodded and grasped her surrogate grandfather's hand, channeling her chakra. In a flash, the 2 disappeared and reappeared in a wide clearing, which bore signs of intense training. Upon arrival, the Hokage glanced around, eyebrows slightly raised in curiosity as he surveyed the marks of destruction, a testament to Naruko's rigorous self-discipline. You've certainly been giving this place a real workout, Naruko-chan, said Sarutobi with a hint of amusement, his eyes falling on a tree riddled with finger-shaped impressions. Naruko rubbed the back of her head sheepishly. Sorry, Gigi. I tend to go all out during training, she said with a slightly embarrassed grin. The Hokage nodded approvingly. That's good. We're going to have a light spar so I can get a better sense of your progress. Let's make this a learning experience, he said, stepping back and removing his robe to reveal the battle gear underneath. Naruko blinked in surprise at the sight but quickly refocused. She leapt into action, launching a palm thrust aimed at the Hokage's chest. He deflected it with ease and responded with a swift punch. Naruko dodged narrowly but didn't anticipate the follow-up, a spinning kick that gently knocked her off balance and sent her skidding a short distance across the ground. Oof. He's still got it, she thought with a wince, taking a steadying breath. She could feel her internal chakra beginning to soothe the discomfort in her side. You might want to be a bit more focused, little one. He's not going easy on you, came the voice of the 9 tails from within her, offering a rare word of advice. Looking up, Naruko saw the Hokage weaving hand signs before releasing a wave of fire toward her. Without hesitation, she activated her chakra shield, bracing against the force of the flames. The blast pushed her back, but she remained unharmed. Not missing a beat, Naruko summoned 5 floating fire orbs around her, infusing them with chakra to increase their intensity. Your turn, Gigi. She called out with a determined grin as she sent the fireballs soaring through the air. Sarutobi calmly formed another set of signs. You've got to try harder than that, Naruko-chan. Earth style, mud wall. He announced, slamming his hand to the ground. A sturdy wall of earth rose up just in time to block the incoming blasts, though it cracked under the pressure. Using the brief concealment the wall offered, Naruko summoned a unique item from a seal on her palm, a sleek chakra-powered device that resembled a small firearm. She aimed and concentrated her chakra. Let's see how this goes, she murmured before firing. The chakra bullet struck the wall with an impressive explosion, scattering dust and shaking the clearing. Sarutobi had sensed the sudden surge of chakra and had already moved to safety. He landed a few feet away, eyeing the curious tool in Naruko's hand. What is that? He asked, surprised and intrigued. Naruko smiled proudly. "This is Ebony. And here's her partner, Ivory," she said, summoning a second, identical tool in a puff of smoke. The Hokage raised an eyebrow, both wary and impressed. Naruko aimed and began launching a flurry of low-powered energy shots his way, causing him to weave and dodge with surprising agility for his age. As Naruko continued her onslaught, she paused briefly to charge both weapons. "Twin flash technique," she called, pulling the triggers simultaneously. Two brilliant orbs of chakra burst forth and exploded upon impact with the ground, sending her tumbling from the recoil and creating a wide crater. Sarutobi, who had moved in time, surveyed the area with wide eyes. "That's some firepower," he muttered, though inwardly, he was making mental notes of how advanced Naruko's techniques had become. Still recovering from the backlash, Naruko stood and waved her hand toward a nearby rock formation. In a shimmer of chakra, 10 large white tigers materialized, each growling protectively in front of her. She gave a silent command, and they rushed forward. Sarutobi's eyes widened, but he quickly regained composure. "Interesting. Illusions? No, perhaps chakra constructs?" He pondered, evading the first few as they lunged toward him. One tiger got too close, but the Hokage gracefully avoided its swipe and used a controlled technique to knock it aside, where it harmlessly vanished on impact. Jumping into the air, he formed hand seals and ended with a tiger sign. "Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu," he exclaimed, releasing a dozen smaller fireballs that gracefully arced toward the incoming tigers, dispersing them. Naruko, now recharging her weapons, launched another round of attacks, her laughter filled with excitement. The Hokage dodged swiftly, his movements nimble, though he was starting to sweat slightly under the strain. Taking a calculated risk, he performed another set of hand signs. When Naruko stopped firing, he struck the ground with both palms. "Earth style, Fist of the Mountain." Naruko blinked, nothing happened. She was about to comment when suddenly the ground erupted beneath her, sending a large stone fist upward. Her chakra shield activated automatically, saving her from a full impact, though she was still launched into the air from the force. Before she could recover, the Hokage appeared above her and gently landed an axe kick to her abdomen, pushing her back down to the ground with a light shockwave. Naruko lay dazed, breath shallow from the blow. She was about to move when she felt the touch of cold steel at her throat, a kunai, held gently by Sarutobi. "Yield," he said calmly, yet firmly. Naruko, too disoriented to teleport away, nodded with a groan. The Hokage smiled and put the weapon away, offering her a hand. She took it gratefully and was pulled up to her feet. "That was an excellent spar, Naruko-chan. You've improved a great deal. Just a few rough edges to work on," he said, his tone both kind and encouraging. Naruko summoned her tools back into her hands with emotion, and the Hokage examined them with curiosity. "You're incredible, Gigi. None of my tricks worked on you," Naruko sighed, rubbing her stomach gently. The Hokage chuckled and patted her on the back, which made her wince a little from lingering soreness. "Well, I am the Hokage, after all. I've had years of experience and countless hours of training. But you? You're getting there, faster than most. With some refinement, you'll be amazing." Naruko looked up with a smile. "I'm ready to learn." 2 months of training. "I'm going to be training you for the next 2 months before your 4th year at the academy begins," the Hokage said. "This training is designed to refine your skills and enhance their effectiveness in real combat scenarios. I won't deny that you have remarkable strength, potentially at Jounin level already, but your lack of strategy during battle has often held you back. So, do you accept?" he asked. Naruko gave a firm nod. There was no reason to reject the Hokage's assessment. Besides, a personalized training session with the Sandaime Hokage wasn't something one would pass up. 2 months later equals. Naruko quickly came to a realization: Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, was a demanding and relentless mentor. After their initial sparring match, he only allowed her a brief rest before asking her to teleport them both back to his office. Once there, he launched into questions about her bloodline and unique abilities. He was particularly curious about her custom weapons, ebony and ivory. The Hokage was impressed that Naruko had managed to recreate such advanced weaponry inspired by fictional stories, turning them into versatile and formidable tools in battle. He complimented her innovative use of sealing techniques, which Naruko accepted proudly. However, the Hokage quickly tempered that pride by pointing out that such remarkable weapons were wasted without proper discipline and control. Even the Kyuubi couldn't contain his laughter in Naruko's subconscious, much to her dismay. The Hokage then gave Naruko a detailed review of her performance during the spar. Based on her skills, she was ranked between mid-Chunin and low-Jounin. However, due to her limited real-world experience, her effective level remained at low-Chunin. Despite the critique, Naruko was cheerful, being that strong at her age was impressive. But she took the Hokage's list of areas for improvement seriously. Naruko's main weaknesses identified. 1. She was too confident, often charging into combat without a plan. 2. Her combat experience was mainly limited to practice and survival training in the Forest of Death, not against fellow shinobi. 3. Her powerful weapons were used recklessly, sometimes endangering allies due to her tendency to fire indiscriminately. 4. She had overly focused on her own bloodline abilities, neglecting the development of elemental ninjutsu, which every well-rounded shinobi should train in. The following weeks were enlightening for Naruko. Thanks to shadow clones, she and the Hokage were able to train extensively while her clones attended classes and helped with paperwork. The first week was focused on evaluating her current skills, taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu. The Hokage was impressed by her use of the Tai Chi combat style. Her forms were graceful and balanced, but the lack of real combat application made them less effective. To help, the Hokage instituted a daily morning sparring session. Naruko's ninjutsu repertoire was limited to only a few basic techniques: shadow clone, transformation, and substitution. The Hokage gently reminded her that, given her resources, including secret access to the Konoha library, she could have studied more extensively. With his official permission now granted, Naruko was eager to improve. Testing revealed her elemental affinity was wind. The Hokage assigned her 100 clones daily to practice the leaf-cutting exercise in the Forest of Death, while the original focused on training directly with him. As for genjutsu, the Hokage acknowledged Naruko's struggle. Her large chakra reserves made the subtle nature of illusions difficult. He praised her for learning how to dispel them, but emphasized that stronger chakra control was essential. He had her clones search for lakes and rivers to practice water walking, a key exercise for refining control. In the second week, the Hokage entrusted Naruko with her parents' legacy, scrolls from both the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans. They contained techniques, knowledge, and savings her parents had left behind. Naruko was deeply moved. She asked if they had left a home for her, but learned they had only lived in a modest apartment. Still, Naruko found comfort in her own small home and began dreaming of building a house for her future clan. She prioritized her mother's scrolls, especially the techniques related to chakra chains, special bindings that could restrain powerful beings. Though her own ability with the technique was limited, she was determined to develop it with help from her clones. Meanwhile, the real Naruko endured intense physical training with the Hokage. Her chakra weights increased to 100 pounds each. Every morning, she trained rigorously with laps, strength exercises, and sparring. The healing factor she possessed helped her recover quickly, and her determination kept her going. In the afternoons, she focused on her weapons. The Hokage hinted at a special mission that would require mastery of her guns, though he didn't reveal the details until she reached Jinan. Naruko shared her idea about developing a rail gun, an energy-based technique she'd read about in a manga. The Hokage didn't dismiss the idea outright. Knowing Naruko's unique abilities, he believed she might succeed. He introduced her to the lightning affinity exercise, which involved lighting a bulb using only chakra. Though wind and lightning were opposites, Naruko didn't let that discourage her. She created clones specifically to work on this new challenge. By the third week, her chakra chains had become more stable. Her morning sparring sessions tested her abilities to their limits. Using her bloodline abilities, she created and manipulated various weapons mid-fight. Her telekinesis became second nature. During the fourth week, something unexpected happened. Naruko discovered she could levitate. In the middle of a spar, after being launched into the air, she instinctively used her ability to stop her fall and hovered a few feet above the ground. Delighted, the Hokage encouraged her to explore this newfound skill. Soon, the training field was filled with clones soaring through the air. In the fifth week, Naruko finally completed her railgun prototype. By infusing a bullet with lightning chakra and channeling it through chakra metal-enhanced seals, the bullet reached extreme speeds and pierced through multiple trees. While powerful, the technique had drawbacks. It required 2 minutes to charge and could not be overcharged for added power. Nonetheless, Naruko was proud of her new ability. By week 6, she had mastered a few wind techniques, including futon, great breakthrough, which created a powerful gust, and futon, wind blades, which launched slicing winds. These new jutsu added much-needed versatility to her arsenal. In the final week, Naruko honed her chakra chains further. Inspired by a manga character her clone had read about, she modified the chains with kunai-shaped tips, making them more useful for both offense and restraint. She vowed to revisit this idea and refine it further with her friend Kaito in the future. By the end of the 2 months, Naruko had significantly matured. While she didn't learn an overwhelming number of new techniques, her existing abilities had been sharpened to an exceptional level, enough that even the Hokage had to exert himself during their matches, though he still held the upper hand. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled to himself as he relaxed in a chair Naruko had built, a massage function added for good measure. Her clones now assisted with paperwork, allowing him a brief respite. Training Naruko had been both challenging and enlightening. Her bloodline, chakra magic, was unlike anything he had ever seen, and its potential seemed limitless. He glanced at a folder he'd prepared long ago. It detailed plans for a new unit, the Tokubutsu Brigade, an elite team answering only to him. Naruko would be its cornerstone due to her unique abilities. Joining her would be Mitarashi Anko, a stealth expert and formidable combatant with exceptional mid-range capabilities. Kurama Yakumo, a genjutsu prodigy whose illusions could blur the line between dream and reality. Together, they would cover a full spectrum of skills, Anko in close and mid-range, Naruko at long range, and Yakumo specializing in illusion and potentially medical ninjutsu. The only concern was Yakumo's sealed powers, but the Hokage was already considering calling on a seal master and perhaps even Lady Tsunade for support. For now, it was time for the next step. Pressing a button on his desk, an Anbu agent appeared before him. "You called, Hokage-sama?" The masked kunoichi, Nico, said respectfully, kneeling. "Thank you for coming, Nico. I'd like you to find Mitarashi Anko and kindly ask her to come to my office as soon as possible," instructed the Hokage. Nico nodded silently and quickly vanished from the room. "Now, time to write a letter for my former students," murmured the Hokage with a small smile as he reached for a blank scroll from his desk drawer. Equals time skip, Naruko, age 13, 5th academy year equals. In a spacious estate located in the former training ground 43 beside the securely fenced forest of death, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko woke up, excitement brimming in her chest. Today was the long-awaited graduation exam, and she was determined to pass with excellence and finally become a Genin of the Hidden Leaf Village. The estate was large, encompassing the entire training ground she had purchased from the Hokage using part of her inheritance. With her skill in creation and transformation techniques, and the assistance of 1,000 shadow clones, Naruko had constructed the entire property in just 1 week. The mansion, as the Hokage fondly called it, featured 15 bedrooms with personal bathrooms, 5 guest rooms, a wide training ground with secure access to the nearby forest, a game room, a growing library, and a basement-level study where she worked on her personal research and techniques. Rolling off her 4-poster bed, Naruko headed straight to her private bathroom for a relaxing shower to energize her for the day. Her meeting with the Hokage yesterday had been mysterious. All he said was to give her best during the test, and that a surprise awaited her upon passing. Naruko had grinned brightly at the encouragement. She was overjoyed to finally stop holding back. She had warned the Hokage about the possibility of the council reacting strongly, but the Hokage reassured her that everything was already handled. The past 2 years after her brief training period with the Hokage had been filled with progress, improving her abilities, unlocking new techniques, and refining her knowledge with support from Kyubi and Kaito of Higurashi weapons. After soaking in the tub and drying off, she moved to her walk-in closet. Her reflection in the full-length mirror revealed the result of her intense training: 5 feet 4 inches, lean and agile, yet strong and toned. Her training with chakra weights had sculpted a powerful, athletic physique tailored for speed and dexterity. Her long, blonde hair now reached the middle of her back. She quickly dried and braided it with a simple thought, one of the benefits of mastering her chakra magic, allowing her to manipulate it mentally. Though she often used gestures just for style. Opening a nearby box, she revealed the outfit she had been saving for this moment. Crafted by her own hands, the ensemble was a symbol of her journey. She wore a deep blue shirt and black cargo pants, paired with black combat boots reinforced at the toes. Twin holsters were strapped to her thighs, each etched with chakra-enhanced seals around the symbol of the hidden leaf. To top it off, she wore a sleek black trench coat with a high collar and an orange spiral on the back. The coat itself was embedded with durability and chakra weight seals for strength training and protection. Satisfied with her look, Naruko unsealed her treasured tools, a pair of crafted weapons named Ebony and Ivory, and her chakra chain armlets, 5 interlocking rings connected to a bracer, all forged from chakra-sensitive metals. With them came improved control and efficiency with her unique techniques. After a final glance in the mirror, she chuckled softly at the thought of surprising her classmates. She left her room and headed to the kitchen for breakfast. There, she found Anko already seated at the table with a newspaper in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. Naruko had met Anko a year ago while training in the forest. Though initially wary, Anko warmed up after hearing Naruko's explanation, and the two discovered a shared passion for energetic sparring and pushing their limits. Eventually, Anko accepted Naruko's invitation to stay in the large house with her, their relationship forming a strong sibling-like bond. "Good morning, Anko Nichan. You're up early," Naruko greeted cheerfully as she poured herself a cup of coffee and floated a few instant ramen cups across the room with her telekinesis, setting a pot of water on the stove. "Morning, kiddo. I just got back from a mission and thought I'd take it easy today. Already had plenty of dengo, so I'm good," Anko replied, sipping her coffee with a relaxed smile. "Are you ready for your exam?" "Absolutely. I've been ready for years. I'm just glad the Hokage told me to stop holding back," Naruko replied confidently, sitting across from her. Anko gave her a smirk. "So you're planning to give them a real show today, huh? Make us proud. I don't want to hear any complaints about my little sister underperforming," she said playfully. Naruko's friendships had grown during her final year at the academy. She had become close with Kiba, Shikamaru, Kuji, and Hinata. Though quiet, Shino had gradually joined their circle as well. The only one she didn't connect with was Ino, who had teamed up with Sakura in following around Uchiha Sasuke. "I'll do my best, Anko Nichan. You'll see me wearing that leaf headband by day's end." After a quiet, peaceful breakfast, Naruko cleaned up and gave Anko a quick kiss on the cheek before teleporting from the kitchen to the rooftop of the academy. She scanned the area below, making sure no one was watching before teleporting again and walking calmly into the front yard of the Konoha Shinobi Academy. She entered the testing hall and headed upstairs where a few classmates were already gathered. "Yo!" she called out with a grin. "Hi Naruko. You're early today. That outfit looks awesome," said Kuji between bites of chips. "Thanks. I made it just for today. Figured it was time for a Jinan-worthy look," Naruko beamed. "So loud, so early," mumbled Shikamaru, shifting from his nap. "Still the same old Shika," Naruko said with a laugh. "I swear, you'd nap through your own promotion ceremony." "Not funny," Shikamaru muttered, yawning. He noticed the holstered tools on her thighs. "What are those?" "Oh, these?" Naruko drew one with a flourish. "Meet ebony and ivory. Took years of research and effort. Modeled them after something I saw in a manga, but these are fully functional." Kuji gawked. "You mean they actually work?" "Yep. Check this out." Naruko aimed carefully at a vase on the teacher's desk and released a tiny chakra-enhanced shot. It gently broke the vase into harmless pieces. Everyone stared, wide-eyed. "Whoa! That's incredible," Kuji exclaimed. "Sorry, can't replicate them. Family technique," Naruko said with a grin as she restored the vase with a wave of her hand. Shikamaru sighed. "Troublesome." Naruko chuckled and sat down between her friends, relaxing until Iruka and Mizuki entered for the start of the exam. Mizuki handed out the papers last to Naruko, as usual. She noticed something was wrong, the questions looked too advanced. Then she sensed the chakra overlay. A genjutsu? She thought, dispelling it with a pulse of chakra. The real Jinan-level questions reappeared. Trying old tricks again, huh? She mused internally, amused at the continued attempts to hinder her. After breezing through the test, she traced a seal at the edge of her paper and infused it with chakra. There. Stasis seal. My answers can't be changed now, she thought confidently. Nice work, Kyubi chimed in supportively from within her mindscape. Thanks. Dad's sealing notes are gold, she replied with a proud smile, already excited for the next part of the exam. Yeah, I did, Naruko said thoughtfully, but I still need to be tested to know my exact level. The only person who can do that is Uro-Senin, but he's currently away from the village. She was referring to the white-haired mentor she had met a year ago, introduced to her by the Hokage. She had since learned that he was once her father's teacher and had helped train him to become one of the most accomplished shinobi in the elemental nations. He was also her godfather, though he hadn't been able to raise her due to his important responsibilities as a traveling intelligence agent. Still, even if he wasn't physically there, he had made sure to provide financial support for her well-being. Naruko had long since forgiven him. She was mature enough to understand the complexity of his duties, though she still found his eccentric habits, especially his tendency to boast about his research, embarrassing. She had jokingly retaliated once with a harmless shot from ivory, her custom training weapon, just to get him to behave. "When is he planning to come back?" someone asked. "I'm not sure," Naruko replied. "But Grandpa Hokage told me he'll probably be back during the Chunin exams this year. So I'll just wait and ask him then." With that, the conversation ended as they waited for the test to conclude. It didn't take long before Iruka called out for everyone to stop, and Mizuki began collecting the test papers. His eyes widened in disbelief when he saw Naruko's answer sheet, fully completed and clearly correct. He stared at her with a sharp look, but Naruko simply returned a calm, confident smile. After all the papers were collected, Iruka called the class to move outside to the training field for the next part of the graduation exam, the weapons proficiency test. For Naruko, this portion of the exam was a bit mundane. She had already predicted who among her classmates would perform well, especially those from prominent clans who had been trained from a young age. Even Uchiha Sasuke, who had lost his family, received guidance from various skilled shinobi around the village. Sakura, too, was expected to pass, not because of her physical strength, but because of her sharp intellect and precise chakra control. "Uzumaki Naruko," Iruka called. Naruko stood up from the tree she had been resting against and approached Iruka, who handed her 10 kunai. "All right, Naruko. I want you to aim for the targets on the training dummies. Each successful hit earns a point. Focus on accuracy, okay?" Iruka instructed. Naruko nodded and planted her feet to steady herself. Taking a deep breath, she quickly launched all 10 kunai in rapid succession, hitting each target with near-perfect precision. Her training with firearms had sharpened her accuracy to an exceptional level. She could easily hit distant targets with ease, even with thrown weapons. Iruka's jaw nearly dropped. Naruko had not only passed, she had excelled. "Excellent work, Naruko," Iruka said, handing her 10 shuriken for the next part of the test. This time, Naruko added a bit of flair. Holding 5 shuriken in each hand, she threw them in synchronized motions, and once again, they all landed precisely in the center of the targets. "Outstanding," Iruka said, smiling. "You got full marks. Please return to the line and wait for the next part of the exam." With a pleased smile, Naruko returned to her spot under the tree. She noticed Sasuke watching her closely, while a few others muttered complaints, claiming she must have cheated. Naruko simply ignored them, closed her eyes, and rested. "You just couldn't resist showing off, could you?" came the amused voice of the fox spirit sealed within her. "Did you see their faces? I should have brought a camera," she said with a chuckle. "Would have made a great memory for my study." "What's your plan for the taijutsu section of the exam?" the fox asked, curious. "Depends on who I'm sparring with. If it's Iruka-sensei, I'll keep it gentle. But if it's Mizuki, maybe I'll use Tai Chi, if it's allowed. You should check with Iruka first. But I have a feeling Mizuki will be your opponent." "Obvious much?" Naruko replied with playful sarcasm. She was curious to see how her friends performed. The rules were clear: each student had to spar with an instructor for 5 minutes. Success wasn't based on winning, but on demonstrating skill and endurance. Shino used a modified academy style tailored to his clan's abilities, using long-range strikes. He passed with a few clean hits. Choji brought power to the field, overwhelming Mizuki with forceful strikes that had to be carefully dodged. Sakura relied on agility and basic techniques, which she applied well, likely due to her strong chakra control. Hinata displayed grace with her clan's signature Juuken style, though her form showed hints of rigidity that seemed uncharacteristic. Still, she performed well and even managed to land a solid technique. Kiba and Akamaru fought together, their teamwork resembling a whirlwind of claws and motion that kept Mizuki on edge. A well-timed hit sealed his success. Shikamaru, ever the tactician, simply dodged for 5 minutes straight and passed. Then came Sasuke, who seemed to receive a lighter challenge. Mizuki's attacks lacked intensity, and Sasuke finished the match quickly. Naruko rolled her eyes at the favoritism but said nothing. Naruko's turn was delayed. Mizuki had arranged for Ino to go before her. She held her own for the required time, and then, finally, it was Naruko's time. She stepped confidently into the ring, facing Mizuki. Instead of using the academy's style, she assumed a Tai Chi stance, fluid and defensive, thanks to training under Anko. As the match began, Mizuki charged at her with serious speed, but Naruko stayed calm. With smooth precision, she deflected his punch and responded with a measured palm strike to his chest, pushing him back. Mizuki grew visibly frustrated and pressed harder. But Naruko continued to evade and redirect his moves with ease, her calm demeanor only making her performance more impressive. With just seconds left on the clock, she switched from defense to offense. When Mizuki attempted a sweeping kick, Naruko jumped, landing a clean kick to his face. She followed up with a swift backhand, sending him out of the ring. Silence fell across the field. A student had just cleanly won a match against an instructor, not by luck, but with grace and skill. Iruka finally broke the stillness. Match over. Naruko wins. Her classmates stared in awe, while Naruko simply smiled and stepped back in line, calm as ever. Name: Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko. Age: 13. Affiliation: Kanahagakura no Sato, the village hidden in the leaves. Rank: Academy student. Unique ability classification: Chakra magic, unofficial designation, unregistered. Dash. Primary weapons: ebony and ivory, twin chakra-powered handguns. Weapon techniques: rapid fire, releases a series of low-powered chakra projectiles designed to create non-lethal impact. Twin burst, both weapons discharge powerful chakra-enhanced energy projectiles that create controlled, non-harmful concussive blasts upon contact, comparable in intensity to multiple practice-grade explosive seals. Rail shot, harnesses lightning element chakra to accelerate a projectile with incredible speed and accuracy, emphasizing precision and energy focus. Dash. Secondary weapons: chakra chain armlets, X2, stylish and functional accessories that channel chakra-based abilities for defense and movement. Dash. Inherited chakra magic abilities, bloodline teleportation, short range, instant movement using chakra manipulation. Transformation, alters appearance for strategic purposes. Creation, forms objects or constructs using raw chakra. Chakra shield, semi-aware energy barrier that protects Naruko from harm. Minor fire control, generates small fireballs for training or defense. Telekinesis, moves objects with focused chakra. Flight, allows Naruko limited airborne mobility. Dash. Taijutsu style: Tai Chi, a flowing, reactive martial art emphasizing balance, redirection, and grace. Dash. Ninjutsu techniques: Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique, creates tangible copies for support or strategy. Henge no Jutsu, transformation technique, alters appearance into another person or object. Kawarimi no Jutsu, substitution technique, swaps position with a nearby object to evade danger. Futon, grand breakthrough, a large gust of wind capable of pushing back opponents or obstacles. Futon, wind blades, sharp currents of wind used for clean, non-injurious precision. Dash. Genjutsu. Capabilities: Naruko is currently focused on recognizing and dispelling illusions but does not actively use genjutsu offensively. Dash. Mission experience: S rank, 0. A rank, 0. B rank, 0. C rank, 0. D rank, 0. Everyone returned to the testing room to await the final portion of the graduation exam, ninjutsu. There was a bit of a delay, as Mizuki needed to be taken to the nurse's office after being unexpectedly overwhelmed by Naruko's earlier display of strength. What the class didn't realize was that Naruko had carefully focused her chakra to give herself a boost during the incident, determined to stand her ground against someone she no longer trusted. About 30 minutes later, Iruka returned with a slightly flustered Mizuki, who was clearly not pleased. His plan to sabotage the exam had failed, and the embarrassment of being bested by an academy student had left him irritated. Still, he kept his frustration in check, for now. "All right everyone, quiet down," Iruka called, and the chatter died down quickly. "Thank you. The final portion of your exam is ninjutsu. Each of you will come forward and demonstrate the 3 basic jutsu you've learned during your time at the academy: Henge no Jutsu, Kawarimi no Jutsu, and Bunshin no Jutsu. When your name is called, please come to the front and perform all 3 techniques." One by one, students were called up. Naruko noticed that many of the civilian students struggled with the transformations, some couldn't fully visualize their henge, and others had trouble swapping places with nearby objects during Kawarimi. The Bunshin technique seemed a bit easier for most, though not everyone succeeded. The clan heirs, however, showed high levels of skill, clearly benefiting from family training. Most performed the jutsu with confidence, although a few used variations, such as Shino, who used an insect-based clone instead of a regular illusion. Sasuke, being a high-achieving student, managed to create 5 clones with ease. Naruko wasn't particularly impressed though, she had a good understanding of chakra flow and figured that instead of focusing on perfecting one solid clone, Sasuke likely spread his chakra thinly across several. When Naruko's name was called, she rose from her seat confidently and walked up to the front where Iruka and Mizuki were waiting, Iruka calm and encouraging, while Mizuki's gaze held a hint of irritation. Naruko simply smiled warmly at Iruka and ignored the other instructor. "All right, Naruko. To pass, you need to demonstrate Henge, Kawarimi, and then Bunshine. Ready?" Iruka asked, holding his clipboard. "Got it, Iruka-sensei. Starting with Henge," Naruko announced cheerfully. In a puff of smoke, she transformed into a spot-on version of her friend, Mitarashi Anko. She even mimicked Anko's playful smirk, causing a few laughs in the room. Iruka chuckled awkwardly, clearly amused and impressed at the level of detail. "That's a very good transformation, Naruko," Iruka said, regaining composure. "Though maybe next time, pick someone a little less dramatic. How did you get it so accurate?" Naruko shrugged with an innocent smile. "She drops by to train sometimes. We've had a few sparring sessions. I guess I just noticed the details." Iruka blinked and quickly moved on. "All right then, please show your Kawarimi." Naruko performed the seals quickly, and in a sudden puff of smoke, she swapped places with a harmless classroom object. The students clapped lightly, clearly impressed. For a moment, though, it seemed someone else appeared. Anko briefly materialized in the classroom, blinking in surprise before she vanished again, a likely side effect of Naruko's unusually strong chakra signature accidentally pulling someone nearby into the jutsu. The students laughed, and Naruko simply offered a sheepish grin. Iruka gave her a look but smiled nonetheless. "Well, that was certainly unexpected, but effective. Now, the last part, Bunshine no Jutsu. Let's see it." Naruko grinned. "You got it. Kage Bunshine no Jutsu." 10 perfect clones popped into existence beside her. The room went completely silent. This was no ordinary Bunshine, these clones were solid and identical, not mere illusions. Iruka stared. "That's, Naruko, where did you learn Kage Bunshine?" Naruko smiled calmly. "The Hokage explained to me that due to my high chakra reserves, it's difficult for me to create the standard illusion clone. He gave me permission to use this version instead. If other students can use family techniques like bug clones, I figured this should count, too." Iruka nodded thoughtfully. "That's a fair point. Excellent work, Naruko. You pass." Mizuki tried to object, but Iruka cut him off. She demonstrated mastery, just in her own way. There's no rule against that. Naruko beamed, happily taking a black Konoha headband from the table and tying it around her forehead. As she turned to return to her seat, a sudden chill ran down her spine. Before she could react, the classroom door swung open with a bang, and Anko stood in the doorway. "All right, Naruko," Anko said with a mischievous grin. "We need to have a little chat." Naruko's eyes widened, and she quickly turned to Iruka. "Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Bye." And with a quick release of chakra, she vanished in a blur of movement. Anko sighed, though she was clearly amused. Iruka gave her a pleading look. "Please remind her to be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. for team placements, and maybe take it easy on her?" Anko patted him on the shoulder playfully. "No promises, but I'll keep it light." She disappeared in a swirl of leaves, heading off in search of the mischievous Nujinan. Meanwhile, back at the Hokage's office, the elderly leader was reclining in his massage chair, finally enjoying a moment of peace while his clones tackled the endless paperwork. That peace was short-lived. A loud yelp echoed all the way from the outskirts of the forest of training grounds. The Hokage sat up with a sigh and turned to his crystal orb to investigate. One look at what was unfolding caused him to wince and quickly turn away. "Better her than me," he muttered, already reaching for his tea. Naruko carefully made her way toward her old classroom for the team placement announcement. Anko's idea of discipline for her little prank the previous day had been creatively unorthodox. Honestly, she might have preferred an intense workout or even a session of harsh training drills. With her enhanced healing, even the most rigorous exercises wouldn't have lasted long in terms of impact. But of course, her adopted sister had her own unique methods. Naruko quietly reminded herself to never prank Anko again. This, more than anything, was why she was slowly and carefully settling into her usual seat, thankful for being early enough to avoid classmates seeing her awkward movements. She sighed in relief as a carefully conjured cold pack numbed some of the lingering aches, allowing her to sit a little more comfortably. Because of her preoccupation, she didn't notice Shikamaru and Kuji arriving. Troublesome blonde. If you didn't pull that prank, you wouldn't be in this situation, Shikamaru muttered, his tone relaxed as always. Yeah, you've got guts, I'll say that, Kuji added, though there was a slight pink tinge to his cheeks, perhaps from recalling the spectacle. Naruko offered them a look that clearly said please drop it, and they wisely complied, quietly taking seats nearby to wait for the rest of the class. Inside her mind, Naruko called out to her tenant. Hey, Q, why is this taking so long to heal? I'm working on it, Kit. That was no regular training injury, QB replied with a small huff. Even I'm surprised by how intense it was. Can't I speed this up with chakra manipulation or something? No, the fox replied cautiously. Human anatomy is a delicate matter. If you try something without proper understanding, you might risk long-term consequences. Yikes. Good point. I'll keep pouring chakra into the healing. Just hang in there. Naruko winced slightly but nodded internally. Thankfully, the pain started to ease as QB's efforts began to show results. About an hour later, Iruka entered the classroom. He immediately noticed Naruko at the back, offering her a look of concern. Having heard her yelps from across the training grounds yesterday, he could only guess what sort of discipline she'd endured from her enthusiastic older sister. All right, everyone, settle down, Iruka announced, gaining the attention of the room. Naruko, are you doing okay? The blonde just gave a small groan in reply, drawing sympathetic looks from several classmates. Before we begin, any questions? A hand raised from the back. Iruka-sensei, where's Mizuki-sensei? Isn't he supposed to be here too? Iruka paused for a moment. Mizuki-sensei is currently occupied with an important assignment. But rest assured, he's being well taken care of. What he didn't mention was that Mizuki had been caught attempting something reckless the night before. Ironically, it was Naruko's unexpected yells that had caused Mizuki to hesitate, leading to his capture. With that settled, Iruka began calling out teams. Team 7 will be Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Sai. Your Jonin leader will be Hatake Kakashi. Sakura let out an enthusiastic squeal while Sasuke simply raised a brow at the unfamiliar name. Sai is a graduate from the previous class who didn't get a team back then. Now he's placed with yours, Iruka clarified. Team 8 will be Aburame Shino, Inuzuka Kiba, and Hyuga Hinata under Yuhi Kurenai. Team 10 is Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Kuji with Sarutobi Asuma. Once those were done, Iruka turned to Naruko. Uzumaki Naruko, the Hokage has requested that you meet with him right away regarding your team placement. He left a note saying it's about something you discussed 3 years ago. Naruko blinked, then suddenly remembered the promise the Hokage had made to her. She nodded in understanding. Can I go now, Iruka-sensei? Iruka nodded and addressed the class one final time. All of you are now official Genin of Konoha. Make the village proud. You're free for lunch, but return in an hour to meet your Jonin leaders, except Naruko, of course. With a wave, Naruko vanished from the classroom, leaving behind only those close to her who were familiar with her unique exit style. Naruko appeared in the Hokage's office, offering her usual cheerful greeting, only to freeze when she saw who was in the room. Hi, Anko Nichin. Her sister gave her a wide smirk. I see you're feeling better. The Hokage cleared his throat with a smile to break the tension. Welcome, Naruko. Thanks for coming quickly. I assume Iruka passed on the message? She nodded and took a seat as instructed, listening attentively. As you've probably guessed, you weren't assigned a regular team. Due to your special talents, you'll be part of a specialized group directly under my supervision. He gestured to the girl standing beside Anko. This is Kurama Yakumo. She'll be joining you. The three of you will form a Tokubutsu unit, an elite team specializing in unique operations. I'll serve as your direct commander and mission handler. Each of them received a folder containing confidential records. From today, you three are part of the Tokubutsu Brigade. Anko will serve as team leader. You and Yakumo will hold the rank of Tokubutsu Genin, and your missions will vary widely based on your individual strengths. Naruko tilted her head. What's the difference between a Tokubutsu Genin and a regular Genin? The Hokage smiled. Great question. A Tokubutsu rank is reserved for those with abilities beyond standard expectations. Anko, for example, specializes in high-level investigative work and excels in stealth. Yakumo has an advanced genjutsu bloodline. You, Naruko, possess unique chakra control and abilities that make you ideal for complex missions. Yakumo nodded politely, though she looked a little unsure. To answer your question, the Hokage added kindly, both of you received this rank because of your potential. Your skills don't fit into the normal Jinan framework, so I've created a unit that can grow into something greater. The rest of the meeting was spent going over mission types, team structure, and future training. When they were dismissed, Naruko and the others headed off to her home base at Training Ground 43 to begin their first team meeting. In the weeks that followed, the Tokubutsu Brigade grew close. Naruko prepared a welcome meal for Anko and Yakumo, and the three began sharing their stories. Yakumo revealed that she once struggled with a spiritual imbalance that affected her abilities, but with help from the Hokage and Lady Tsunade, she had regained control and honed her skills. Training was intense but rewarding. Anko focused on stealth and tactical movement, while Naruko and Yakumo combined their unique abilities for powerful combo techniques. Naruko's shield could now expand to protect others, and she developed better control of her flying and teleportation. Yakumo's genjutsu supported the team through illusions and healing, and together, the trio built synergy that impressed even their instructors. They had discovered that their abilities complemented each other perfectly. Anko and Naruko could coordinate fast attacks while Yakumo supported from a distance. Even Naruko's energy-based barriers had been enhanced to include quick throws and short-range projection to cover allies in need. Although not everything was easy, the teleportation training took time to adjust to. They were ready to face whatever missions the village had in store. The Tokubutsu Brigade wasn't just a special team. They were becoming a family. Anko's main weakness was her intense drive in battle. Once she got involved in a prolonged fight, her focus would begin to waver, and she would focus on defeating her opponent at all costs. However, her skill and determination were a testament to her experience as a kunoichi. Yakumo's weakness, on the other hand, was her speed. Anko was committed to helping Yakumo improve through rigorous training. To assist with this, Naruko offered to craft chakra weights for Yakumo, which would help her enhance her physical capabilities. Yakumo also required complete focus when using her genjutsu, which Anko attributed to a lack of experience. She promised Yakumo that, with time, she would be able to refine her unique bloodline and grow stronger as a shinobi. However, Yakumo's most significant challenge was her limited chakra reserves. Having spent many years in confinement, she had not built up her chakra stores as much as others, and despite the training with Tsunade, her reserves were still at the level of a high-ranking Jinan. Both Anko and Naruko reassured her that physical training would boost her reserves and bring her abilities up to par. The determined glint in both Anko's and Naruko's eyes when they mentioned training left Yakumo a little nervous, but she knew she was in good hands. Naruko's own weaknesses lay more in her abilities than in her physical strength. One notable flaw was her transformation ability, which did not work on individuals who already had chakra flowing through them. This was discovered when she attempted to transform Anko's snake summon into a rabbit, but the transformation failed. Anko had sensed something unusual in her system, which led to the discovery of this limitation. The transformation ability was rendered ineffective against those with strong chakra control, like Anko, meaning that Naruko's power would be ineffective against high-ranking shinobi. Still, Kyubi assured her that, with time, her powers would grow stronger and help her overcome this limitation. The Tokubutsu Brigade was now preparing for their first mission after 2 weeks of training. They opted to travel on foot instead of teleporting, as they could benefit from the physical exercise, especially Yakumo, who had already started wearing chakra weights to improve her speed and stamina. Though she had been initially resistant to the idea, Yakumo agreed when she learned that both Anko and Naruko were also wearing weights to maintain their training discipline. Naruko was currently carrying 500 pounds, while Anko wore 300 pounds. The team entered the Hokage's office to find the aged leader sorting through mission scrolls. He looked up when they entered and greeted them warmly. "Good morning, Naruko-chan, Anko, and Yakumo-chan. Ready for your first mission?" asked the Hokage, already anticipating their visit. Naruko greeted him cheerfully, "Good morning, Gigi. Long time no see." Anko, acting as the team leader, requested a C or B rank mission to start off. The Hokage, having already prepared a task for them, handed over a mission scroll. "I have just the one for you," said the Hokage. "You are to investigate and take down a group of bandits causing trouble at the border of Fire Country and Tea Country. They've been preying on wealthy merchants, and the Tea Daimyo has requested help. The mission will be classified as a C rank, but it could escalate to a B rank or even A rank if missing nins are involved. You have 2 weeks to complete it." Anko accepted the mission and asked for additional information on the bandit group. The Hokage shared rumors of an organized bandit group known as the Bloody Rose operating in the area, and warned them to be cautious, especially since it was their first mission. He emphasized the importance of keeping their skills sharp and being ready for anything. "We'll be fine," Hokage-sama, Anko assured him. "Both Naruko and Yakumo have made excellent progress during training, and I'm confident in their abilities. We're ready for this." The Hokage smiled, pleased with their progress, but reminded them to be vigilant and stay safe. After the mission details were settled, Anko gave the order for Naruko to teleport the team to their base to gather supplies before heading to the East Gate. Naruko, ever the reliable teammate, quickly gathered their necessities, including food, chakra pills, first aid kits, and weapons. He had even prepared a scroll filled with shurikens, kunai, senbons, and explosive tags, and reassured everyone they could always get more if needed. After stocking up, Naruko teleported them to a nearby alley by the East Gate to avoid revealing her abilities too early. They approached the gate, where Anko took care of the necessary paperwork and clearance with the guards. "All right team, here's the plan," Anko said, outlining their strategy. "Instead of rushing through the mission with teleportation, we'll treat this as a training opportunity. Yakumo, you'll run at full speed toward T-Country. Once you tire, Naruko will take over and carry us the rest of the way. This will help you improve your speed, strength, and chakra reserves. We'll keep going until we reach our destination." Despite Yakumo's initial struggles, the team moved efficiently, with Naruko helping them when fatigue set in. After a few hours of travel, they stopped to set up camp as nightfall approached. Naruko made 2 tents, one for himself and one for Anko and Yakumo, and prepared a hearty meal, knowing Anko disliked ration bars. They took turns on watch for the night, with Yakumo taking the first shift, followed by Naruko and then Anko. The team remained alert and ready for anything that might come their way during the night. Their first mission was about to begin, and though it was a challenge, the Tokubutsu Brigade was prepared to face whatever lay ahead. It took them 3 days to reach the capital of T-Country. Despite a slight delay, Naruko and Anko could see the progress in Yakumo when they entered the gates. She was now able to maintain a full sprint for up to 4 hours before tiring. By the time they reached the capital, Yakumo's weights had already increased to 15 pounds each. Naruko and Anko marveled at the noticeable improvement in her stamina. Yakumo explained that her training under Tsunade had significantly boosted her healing rate due to her refined chakra control. Before they could begin gathering information on the bandit group, Anko decided to visit the T-Daimyo to see if there were any new leads. It didn't take long for the guards at the gate to summon a detachment of samurais from the daimyo's residence to escort the group to meet with the leader. Much to their disappointment, the T-Daimyo had no new information. However, rumors from the citizens suggested that the bandits had become more aggressive in their raids. Just the week before, a fishing village on the coast of T-Country had been attacked. The raid resulted in significant property damage and the loss of valuable items like food, jewelry, and money. 2 samurai guards, who had been protecting the village, were hurt during the attack. After discussing the mission parameters with the T-Daimyo, the group left the residence and decided to rest for the night, planning to continue their information gathering the next day. They reserved 2 rooms in a hotel and went to bed early. The next day, Naruko, Anko, and Yakumo separated after breakfast, each donning a disguise to blend in with the local population. They agreed to reconvene in the hotel rooms around lunchtime to share what they had learned. Later that day, the group gathered in Naruko's room for a debriefing after a hearty lunch at a nearby restaurant. Anko began to share the information she had gathered. "I didn't get much, but I did learn that the bandit group started 3 months ago. Initially, they were small-time, only robbing merchants traveling between Tea and Fire Country. However, they've become much more aggressive in the past month. According to an older merchant, it seems the bandits have a new leader and have recruited smaller bands, swelling their numbers," reported Anko. Naruko frowned at the news. "Do we have any idea how many there are now?" Naruko asked. "I didn't get an exact number, but I'd estimate around 200 to 300 bandits," Anko replied. Yakumo chimed in, reading from a notepad. "I spoke to a merchant who was fortunate to survive an attack. His goods were stolen, but he mentioned that the bandits attacked in broad daylight. It seems they have at least one shinobi among them." The merchant described a large fireball that completely destroyed his carriage with one hit. Anko's face tightened in thought. Based on the size of the fireball, it's likely that the shinobi is at least a mid-level chonin, maybe even a high-level genin. "If the carriage was destroyed in one shot, I'd say it's the latter," she sighed. "It looks like this mission just became more complicated. If there are shinobi among the bandits, it's possible they're missing nins. Depending on their numbers and strength, this could be an A-rank mission." Naruko nodded. "We'll need to scout the area, find the camp, and infiltrate it to gather more intelligence. We can't just charge in without a plan, especially if missing nins are involved. Do you have a way to locate their camp, Naruko? Anko asked sweetly, teasing her adopted sibling. How many times do I have to tell you not to call me that? Naruko grumbled, clearly not fond of the nickname. Anko smirked. I've lost count after 100, she teased. Naruko rolled her eyes. That's so disturbing, she muttered, but before she could argue further, Yakumo interjected. Plan first, jokes later, she said firmly. Both Naruko and Anko immediately stopped bickering. They had learned long ago to avoid testing Yakumo's patience, especially after a training session where she had put them through a rather unpleasant illusion. Naruko cleared her throat, focusing on the task at hand. I have a simple plan. I'll create a bunch of clones, put them under an invisibility jutsu, and have them fly around T country in a set pattern. If they find the bandit camp, they'll dispel to send me the information. Anko raised an eyebrow. Can you make that many clones? T country is quite large. Naruko nodded. I can create up to 300 clones without using Kyuubi's chakra, so it should be enough. I'll need to feed them extra chakra since both flying and invisibility are draining, but they'll last long enough. Why not use Kyuubi's chakra to make it easier? Yakumo asked. Naruko shook her head. I don't want to risk alerting any potential spies. I'll be fine without it, and I'm confident you can help patch me up afterward, Yakumo-chan. Yakumo smiled at Naruko's confidence. Good thing I packed plenty of chakra pills then. One pill won't be enough to keep you going. Anko nodded and outlined the final details of the plan. Okay, so after the debriefing, Naruko will head out of the capital, create her clones, and then teleport back here. Yakumo, you'll help Naruko recover once she returns. We'll meet back up in the evening to discuss our next move. Naruko and Yakumo nodded, ready to begin the mission. Character Bio. Name, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko. Age, 13. Affiliation, Kanahagakure no Sato, Village Hidden in the Leaves. Rank, Tokubutsu Jinan. Team Affiliation, Tokubutsu Brigade. Teammates, Mitarashi Anko, Team Leader, Kurama Yakumo. Bloodline, Chakra Magic, Unofficial Designation, Not Registered Weapon, Ebony and Ivory, Chakra-Powered Guns. Techniques. Rapid Fire, rapidly fires low-powered chakra bullets using ebony and ivory, creating blunt force trauma. The duration of this technique depends on Naruko's chakra reserves. Twin Explosion, fires 2 overpowered chakra bullets that explode on contact. Each bullet carries the force of 5 exploding tags. Rail Gun, uses 1 to 2 guns, channeling electricity produced by lightning chakra to propel the bullets at cage-level speeds, significantly enhancing their piercing power. Weapon, Chakra Chain Armlets, X2 techniques. Chain Jail, utilizes chakra chains to bind an opponent or multiple opponents, restricting their movement. Bloodline abilities. Teleportation, Naruko can teleport herself and up to 2 others, a maximum of 3 individuals, including herself. Transformation, Naruko can alter her appearance or disguise herself. Creation, Naruko has the ability to create various objects, materials, and structures using chakra. Chakra Shield, a semi-automatic defense mechanism, which can protect herself and others, offering area defense or individual range defense. Minor fire manipulation, Naruko can control and create small fireballs. Advanced telekinesis, Naruko has the ability to manipulate objects or enemies with her mind. Flight, Naruko can enable herself and 2 others to fly. Taijutsu, Tai Chi. Ninjutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. Henge no Jutsu, Transformation Technique. Kawarimi no Jutsu, Body Replacement Technique. Futon, Grand Breakthrough, a powerful wind jutsu that creates a vast gust of wind. Futon, Wind Blades, creates razor-sharp blades of wind to slice through obstacles. Genjutsu, Naruko does not have abilities in Genjutsu, except for detecting and dispelling illusions. Fuinjutsu, though not yet fully tested, Naruko has shown a unique aptitude for applying seals on her weapons. Mission Stats. S rank, 0. A rank, 0. B rank, 0. C rank, 0. D rank, 0. Ability limitations. Transformation, Naruko cannot transform living beings that have active chakra running through their bodies. Transforming a target with high chakra and control is more difficult, requiring more power and effort from Naruko. Naruko exited the ornate gates of the T with a purpose. As she made her way toward one of the denser forests surrounding the capital, she began mentally communicating with her tenant about her plan. You know, Yakumo-chan has a point. You do need to use my chakra if you want to be successful in this mission, said Kyubi, lounging around in Naruko's mindscape, bored. I know. We experimented with this during my academy days. Your chakra strengthens the clone's durability and power, but I can't just use it openly since it's too powerful. Anyone with even basic shinobi training could easily detect it. That would alert the bandits and complicate things, Naruko responded. Despite wanting to use Kyubi's chakra, she understood the importance of keeping her mission discreet. True, but it doesn't have to be like that. Think outside the box. If you release my chakra gradually, it'll be undetectable unless someone's a sensor. Kyubi paused, then an idea struck. Since you lack control over short bursts of my chakra, why don't I control the flow for you? If you give me permission, I'll inject enough chakra for your clones. What do you think? Naruko thought about it for a moment. She realized Kyubi's idea was solid. In the past, her use of the fox's chakra had been too obvious, but under Kyubi's guidance, they could release it more subtly and avoid detection. She agreed to the plan. Alright. You win, Naruko conceded. But let's move further from town to avoid detection. You have my permission to use my senses to scan the area and make sure we aren't discovered. Great. Let's get moving and start this mission, Kyubi said eagerly as she connected her chakra to Naruko's sensory perception. They had practiced sensing techniques during their training in the academy, allowing Naruko to rely on Kyubi's control to detect nearby presence. Although Naruko had tried the skill once and nearly lost consciousness from the overwhelming feedback, she had vowed to practice it more in the future. After about an hour, they reached a secluded area of the forest. Kyubi reported that no humans were in the vicinity, so they could proceed without worry. Okay, Kyubi. What do I need to do? Naruko asked, focusing to prepare for the technique. How many clones do you need? I recommend 500. Since you'll be using some of my chakra to enhance them, I'll make sure to only use half of your reserves, and I'll provide the rest, Kyubi explained, getting ready to take control of Naruko's chakra flow. Agreed. I just need to perform the technique, right? Naruko asked, feeling Kyubi's consciousness blending with hers. Exactly. Just form the hand seal, and I'll combine our chakras. It's up to you to release the pent-up energy to create the clones, since only your body can activate them. I'll signal when it's ready, Kyubi instructed, beginning the chakra molding process carefully. Naruko felt a strange sensation as Kyubi controlled the chakra flow. At first, there was a slight tingle, followed by a warmth that spread through her body. The heat grew more intense, and her muscles strained under the pressure. She struggled to maintain focus as the feeling became nearly unbearable. Anytime now, Kyubi. I'm not sure how much longer I can hold the seal, Naruko said, sweat forming on her brow. A little more. Just a bit more, Kyubi urged, keeping track of the energy building up inside. Just do it already. Naruko mentally shouted, nearly overwhelmed by the intensity of the chakra. Alright. Here we go. Now, Kit, Kyubi shouted in response. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruko yelled, releasing the technique. The combined chakra surged out of her, and 500 clones instantly appeared, filling the forest. Naruko's knees buckled, and she collapsed to the ground, but one of her clones caught her just in time. Her body felt sore, as if it had been stretched beyond its limits. What just happened? I thought you only used half of my chakra, but why do I feel so exhausted? Naruko asked, struggling to catch her breath. You're not tired from the technique itself. I can still feel half of your chakra inside you, and it's recovering nicely. The exhaustion you're feeling is from holding both our chakras inside your body until you release the technique. Usually, the chakra is released immediately, but we deliberately held it in to avoid detection. The pressure on your body was too much, Kyubi explained, scanning for any signs of harm. But I've done this before. 500 clones, no problem. I didn't feel this tired before, Naruko responded, feeling confused. Yes, but this time was different. Normally, you mold the chakra and release it, but we skipped that phase to keep things undetected. The clones didn't even create smoke, they just appeared because there was no chakra leaking out. Think of it like a balloon. You're the rubber, and our combined chakra is the air. The more air, the more pressure on the balloon. That's why you're so drained, Kyubi explained further. What would have happened if I hadn't released the chakra in time? Naruko asked cautiously. Well, just like a balloon, the pressure would build until your body couldn't handle it anymore. You'd pop, Kyubi responded bluntly. Naruko paled, realizing the seriousness of the situation. Next time, warn me before doing anything that dangerous. If I blow up, you're going down with me, Naruko reminded QB, still shaken by the thought. Don't worry, kid. I wouldn't put you in harm's way if I could help it. Now, tell your clones what to do. We don't want to waste any more time, QB said before resting, tired from the strain of controlling the chakra. Naruko took a few deep breaths, regained her composure, and stood up, addressing her clones, who were now looking at her with eager anticipation. All right, everyone. You know the mission. Go invisible and scout the T country for the bandit camp. If you find it, do some recon but avoid being spotted. Dispel once you've gathered the information, she ordered. Her clones nodded in unison, then shimmered out of sight, signaling that they had gone invisible. Naruko could hear the soft rustling of leaves and the whoosh of air as her clones took to the skies, flying off to follow their instructions. Naruko sighed and teleported out of the forest, returning to her room at the capital. It took 2 days for her clones to return from their reconnaissance mission. As luck would have it, her clones decided to pair up to cover more ground since 2 sets of eyes are better than 1. The clones who discovered the bandit camp immediately scoped out the area, gathering important information that their creator would need to take them down. After a few hours of recon, the clones flew out of the encampment and dispelled themselves to relay the information back to Naruko. Naruko, who was enjoying a bowl of ramen in her hotel room, suddenly clutched her head in pain as memories from her clones flooded her mind. Ouch! I didn't know the backlash from a long-lasting clone would be this painful, she groaned while massaging her temples. Don't worry, it's already healing. I'll take care of the memory feedback once you dispel the rest, assured QB, helping alleviate her headache. Naruko nodded inwardly and closed her eyes, searching for her connection with the clones. It had been a while since they were far from the capital, but she soon dispelled them. She braced herself for the memory feedback but only felt a sense of numbness, already trusting that QB was managing the download of information from her clones. It took about an hour to properly sort through the memories, but Naruko grinned when she got a clear description of the bandit camp located in a large forest to the east of the capital. It seemed that the group was larger than originally expected, and the presence of missing nins in the camp worried her. She needed to speak with Anko and Yakumo to start planning. Naruko immediately created 2 clones and tasked them with finding her teammates, who were investigating around town, before closing her eyes to rest for a while. What Naruko didn't know was that QB had withheld some information from one of her clones. The clone, patrolling the coastline, had come across a deserted island that QB recognized as significant. He decided to keep it from Naruko until after the mission, not wanting her to get distracted. If his hunch was right, Naruko would find the hidden objects on that island fascinating. QB grinned before laying down on his paws and drifting to sleep. It didn't take long for Yakumo and Anko to return to the hotel after being informed by Naruko's clones about the new developments regarding the bandit group. Anko barged into the room to find Naruko meditating on one of the beds. She knew that Naruko was processing the information from the clones, and the focused look on her face suggested there was a lot to go through. All right, Naruko, what did you find out? Asked Anko, seating herself on the couch while Yakumo sat near the window. Naruko opened her eyes and gave the two of them a serious look. This mission has become more complicated, she said in a serious voice. Just this afternoon, 2 of my clones discovered the location of the bandit group, and our initial estimate of their numbers was off. So they have fewer members? Asked Yakumo, hopeful. Despite their strength and teamwork, having fewer enemies would always be a better scenario. Her hope was dashed when Naruko shook her head. No. The initial information we had was wrong. It seems they've merged with bandit groups from both Fire and T country into one unified force. They now have around 700 members. The news made Anko grunt in annoyance and Yakumo gasp. We're lucky that there are only 8 shinobi in the group. According to my clones, their strength ranges from low Jinan to mid Chunin, except for the leader, who is at low Jounin level at best. Any identification? Asked Anko, curious. I didn't get any names, but I was able to determine where they are from. The leader is from the mist, so we can assume they have a bloodline or some kind of special ability, considering it took a lot to control 700 bandits and 7 shinobi, even at their levels. The others come from Iwa, Kumo, and Suna, Naruko reported, recalling the slashed headbands the missing nins wore. It never made sense to Naruko that they kept their headbands after becoming missing nins. It would only make them a target if ever discovered. Should we request reinforcements? Even with our abilities and teamwork, taking on 700 bandits, not to mention the missing nins, will be too much for us, mused Yakumo, mentally tallying her medical supplies to ensure she had enough for a large-scale battle. Anko shook her head. That's not possible. And even if it was, I don't think we'd need reinforcements. If we come up with a solid plan, we can handle this ourselves. The bandits are just mercenaries and thugs without much knowledge of jutsu. Our real concern is taking down the missing nins first, then focusing on the rest, explained Anko. Why don't you think we should ask for help, Anko Nichin? Naruko asked, confused. She knew that Konoha had a large shinobi force, and asking for assistance seemed like a reasonable option. There are 2 reasons, Anko began. First, most of the teams are already on their respective missions. Before we left, I read the report from Ibiki, and 70% of Konoha's forces are out of the village. I doubt the Hokage will send any reinforcements, even if we request them. The second reason is that we are the Tokubutsu Brigade. The Hokage entrusted this mission to us, and I'm not going to let some bandits and missing nins get the best of us. We need to focus on a solid strategy and execute it ourselves. Anko's determination made Naruko smile, and Yakumo's doubts vanished. Anko Nichin is right, Naruko said confidently. I don't think Hokage Jiji would be happy if we asked for help. He has high expectations of us. Besides, their numbers don't matter if we can come up with a good plan to defeat them. I agree, Yakumo added. Our main concern right now is to come up with a solid plan to first incapacitate the missing nins. We can easily deal with the bandits once that's taken care of. Naruko grinned. I already have a plan, she said confidently. Seeing Anko and Yakumo lean in, curious, Naruko pulled out ebony from its holster and held it out in front of her. How do you girls feel about long-range elimination? The Tokubutsu Brigade spent the entire afternoon planning a strategy to infiltrate and neutralize the bandit camp. Anko had wanted to use explosive tags to create widespread chaos, but Yakumo immediately vetoed the idea, saying it could cause some of the bandits to escape, and they'd have to track them down one by one. Naruko chuckled when Anko realized the flaw in her plan. By 3 hours before midnight, the 3 of them found themselves perched in a large tree overlooking the bandit camp, hidden under a genjutsu provided by Yakumo that made them blend into the foliage. Naruko reluctantly admitted that the group was more organized than she had anticipated. She suspected it was due to the rogue jounin who had carefully turned the band of bandits, thugs, mercenaries, and missing nins into a functional fighting force. Any questions about the plan? Asked Anko with excitement, eager for the battle to begin. Naruko and Yakumo shook their heads, signaling they were ready. Anko nodded and jumped down from the tree to execute her part of the plan. Naruko turned to Yakumo. Are you ready, Yakumo-chan? She asked. Ready and waiting, Naruko-san. Let's get this mission underway. The sooner we finish, the better. I'd love to relax in our hotel room before heading back to Konoha, said Yakumo, her voice filled with determination. Naruko smiled, knowing the genjutsu expert was eager to complete their first mission. She reached for ebony, channeling lightning chakra into it, preparing for their task. Great. Once the leader is down, I'll teleport us into the heart of the camp with protective shields up. You'll cast a genjutsu to keep us undetected. Anko Nichin will make her entrance from the front while I take care of the rest. Just let me know if you're running low on chakra, alright? Naruko said, making sure to plan every step carefully. Yakumo nodded in agreement, and Naruko raised her gun, focusing on the camp. She could see the jounin leader celebrating with his missing nin comrades. With a grin, she aimed carefully. She was relieved her target was within range, otherwise, this mission could have become more complicated. The lightning-charged bullet fired at incredible speed, trailing a line of light visible to everyone. The jounin didn't see it coming. The bullet struck with precision, causing a small explosion as it exited his head and hit the ground. His lifeless body slumped forward, causing a commotion among the other bandits, who cried out in alarm. An explosion sounded at the camp's entrance, signaling the attack. Anko had summoned several large snakes to encircle the area, taking advantage of the tall fence to remain hidden. After summoning 24 snakes to ensure no one escaped, she summoned a massive one, riding its head and preparing for the next phase. She retrieved a kunai, attaching an explosive tag, a special one Naruko had perfected during her Fuuinjutsu studies. Unlike the regular explosive tags, this one was far stronger. Looking up at the tree where Naruko and Yakumo were positioned, she waited for the signal. A minute later, the telltale discharge of Naruko's railgun echoed, and Anko threw the explosive kunai at the large gate. Channeling chakra through a ram seal, she detonated the tag, causing the gate to explode. At that signal, the massive snake surged forward, slithering into the camp with Anko on its back, ready for the next phase of the operation. Once the assassination was complete, Naruko teleported herself and Yakumo into the center of the camp. Immediately, she set up a powerful chakra shield to ensure nothing could penetrate it. Yakumo swiftly performed a series of hand seals, activating her genjutsu technique, Ninpo, Mirage of the One-Eyed God. The genjutsu distorted the enemy's perception, creating a hazy, mirage-like effect, making it harder for them to land accurate attacks on the team. Naruko's guns were drawn, and she began to fire with pinpoint accuracy, disabling and incapacitating the bandits one by one. No one was able to escape the storm of bullets, except for a few who used their comrades as shields, an unfortunate move. Anko fought fiercely, throwing a kunai that took down a bandit, narrowly dodging an attack from another. With impressive agility, she retaliated, sending her attacker flying into the jaws of one of her snakes. She continued to battle, feeling the rush of adrenaline as she fought through the bandits. A bullet from Naruko passed just by Anko's head, taking down an enemy who had tried to sneak up behind her. Naruko gave her a warning. "Watch your back, Anko Nichin." "Thanks, Gaki." "Phase 2? Anko asked, flipping another kunai into the air. Naruko nodded without looking, his focus on the remaining enemies. "Ready, Yakumo-chan?" he asked as he continued firing. "Ready, Naruko-san," Yakumo responded, preparing her next move. She formed a set of seals and channeled chakra, releasing her technique, Ninpo, Feathers of Morpheus. The feather-like genjutsu spread across the camp, putting anyone it touched into a deep sleep. Naruko dropped the shield to allow the technique to take full effect before turning to Anko and Yakumo. The team moved quickly toward the east side of the camp, where the remaining missing nins had gathered. Upon arrival, they found the last group of bandits, who had begun gathering loot. Naruko raised an eyebrow at the scene. "Wow, I didn't expect missing nins to be so cowardly. Running away after their leader's death?" she remarked sarcastically, holstering her guns. One of the bandits, wearing a torn Iwa headband, sneered. "Shut up, Gaki, or I'll cut that tongue of yours. Why did you Konoha nin attack us?" Anko, Naruko, and Yakumo exchanged incredulous glances at the question. "Are you serious? You attacked merchants between Tea and Fire Country. The Tea daimyo hired us to deal with you. Pretty obvious, don't you think?" Naruko said with a sarcastic edge, causing the bandit to growl in frustration. With a smirk, Naruko threw a kunai, signaling the attack. The bandits scattered, but 3 were trapped by Naruko's chain jail technique, which she had materialized just in time. Anko and Yakumo quickly subdued the 3 bandits, knocking them unconscious. "That was a bit underwhelming," Anko remarked as she watched Naruko deactivate the chains. "Well, it's better this way. Less bloodshed," Yakumo pointed out calmly, tying up the prisoners. Anko pouted but nodded. "True. Let's move on. We still have a few left." She zoomed off after one of the remaining missing nins, with Naruko and Yakumo following the others. 5 minutes later, Anko faced her target, a missing nin trying to escape. She threw a chakra-infused kunai, but he dodged it and landed in a clearing, preparing for a fight. The two clashed fiercely, exchanging blows with kunai, their battle heating up. The bandit, an ex-Iwa shinobi, taunted, "I should feel honored that Konoha sent one of their best to fight me, Mitarashi Anko, Snake Mistress." Anko grinned, unfazed. "Let's see if you can keep up," she quipped, creating a set of kunai with the kunai cage Bunshin no Jutsu. The ex-Iwa shinobi erected a mud wall to block the kunai, but the clash of weapons was inevitable. The battle escalated as Anko used her swift movements and chakra-enhanced strikes to gain the upper hand. Finally, with a well-timed roundhouse kick, she sent her opponent reeling. The missing nin tried to recover, but Anko ended it with a powerful axe kick to the head. The mission was nearly complete, and the team was ready to return to Konoha with their captured foes. Anko glanced at her opponent, who had been defeated, and couldn't help but shake her head in disbelief. She had hoped for a challenging fight, as she had chosen him thinking he was stronger than the others, but it seemed she was mistaken. She sighed, dismissed her summon before it could overwhelm the defeated enemy, and tied him up to bring him back to camp. The missing nins were resting in a clearing a few miles east of the now destroyed bandit camp. "You think we lost them, Shinji?" asked the red-haired Suna missing nin. "I think we did, Akito," replied the dark-haired man, wearing a Suna headband. "Now, be quiet and rest. We'll leave once we catch our second wind. Besides..." He didn't finish his sentence before something struck his shoulder, sending electricity coursing through his body, leaving him numb. Akito tracked the attack to the woods ahead and saw 2 figures wearing Konoha headbands materialize from the darkness. "See? I told you I could hit one of them with my new attack. It just shows that my stun bullet works." It's not good to doubt your teammate's skills, the blonde-haired shinobi pouted at his female partner. Shut up, Naruko-chan. How was I supposed to know the extent of your abilities when you haven't even shown them to us yet? Honestly, sometimes you're worse than Anko-sensei, said the female partner, clearly annoyed. She is my sister after all, Yakumo-chan, Naruko shrugged, before turning her attention to the two missing nin, one unable to move because of the electricity disrupting his motor functions, while the other was holding a kunai and eyeing them warily. Hi there. Why don't you be a good missing nin and surrender? We can call it a day. What do you say? Naruko asked in a playful, childlike voice. Yakumo sighed, exasperated by her teammates' antics. We'll never surrender. Why don't you surrender instead? Kids like you shouldn't be playing at being shinobi. You might get hurt, Akito retorted with a smirk, though he was inwardly shaken by how effortlessly the two had taken down their entire bandit group. Who said we're playing shinobi? We are shinobi, idiot, Yakumo snapped, clearly irritable. Naruko gave her a questioning look. What's got you in a mood? Naruko asked, curious. Yakumo had been a bit off since the start of the mission, and Naruko wanted to know the reason for her change in attitude. It must be one of those time-of-the-month moments her adopted sister had mentioned. Yakumo growled, clearly frustrated. I'm tired, hungry, and dirty. I want to go back to the hotel, take a long hot shower, eat something sweet, and get some rest. We've been chasing them all this way, and I'm not in the mood for any more fighting. Naruko immediately understood. Fine, fine. Why don't you sit this one out, and I'll take care of everything, she said, trying to defuse the situation quickly. Yakumo flashed her a sweet smile and moved to sit under a tree. Sometimes, I think Shikamaru has a point, women are troublesome, Naruko muttered to herself. What did you say, Naruko-chan? Yakumo's voice, sweet as honey, rang out from under the tree. Nothing at all, Yakumo-chan, Naruko quickly corrected herself. I said I'll finish this up quickly so you can do what you want. Good, Yakumo responded, dismissing her teammate with a wave. Carry on. Naruko and Akito shared an awkward look, then turned back to each other. So, I guess you and I are fighting now? Akito asked, preparing himself. Seems like it, Naruko said, activating her chain jail and swinging it towards the missing nin. Akito's eyes widened in surprise as he saw the chains coming toward him. He was ready, though, and easily dodged the attack by jumping to the side. He pulled 3 kunai from his pouch and threw them at Naruko. Reacting quickly, Naruko retracted her chains and summoned another chain from her other arm, using them as a barrier to deflect the incoming projectiles. Without missing a beat, Naruko used the momentum from her movements to launch a powerful strike toward Akito. He barely dodged in time, though the blow grazed his arm, and he winced from the pain. Naruko didn't slow down. She kept her chains moving in a fluid, rhythmic dance of offense. Her speed and stamina were unmatched, and Akito found himself on the defensive, unable to counter her attacks effectively. With one final strike, Naruko managed to land a blow with one of her chains that sent Akito crashing into the ground. She quickly bound him with a chakra-infused ninja wire for extra security, tying him up tightly. That's that, Naruko muttered to herself. For missing nins, they sure are weak. She turned her attention to the other missing nin and tied him up as well, ensuring he wouldn't escape. Are you done yet? Yakumo's voice came from behind, still relaxed under her tree. Naruko nodded as she finished up. Yes, I'm done. Now let's teleport back and meet up with Anko-nichan. I'm sure she's already finished with her opponent, Naruko said, picking up both of the bound missing nins and readying to leave. She grabbed the twitching prisoner and, with Yakumo's hand on her own, teleported them back to the bandit camp. The Tokubutsu brigade worked quickly to clean up the bandit camp. Naruko, using her chakra, bound the remaining bandits without any fuss. Most of them were only knocked out with non-lethal techniques, though there were a few who had been incapacitated more thoroughly due to Anko's precise methods. After securing the bandits, the trio took their time investigating the camp, ensuring nothing had been overlooked. They spent an hour carefully going through the camp with a dozen shadow clones from Naruko. The loot was collected, sorted, and piled in the center. After completing the inventory, they realized they had gathered a significant amount of valuable items, over 1 million ryo, jutsu scrolls, food, jewelry, fine silks, weapons, and sensitive documents to be handed over to the daimyo. The Tokubutsu brigade returned to the capital the next morning, where Anko met with the daimyo to finalize the mission. Shortly after, she joined her team in a restaurant to relay the details over a hearty meal. The daimyo had already signed the mission scroll, confirming completion of the contract, along with a generous payment for a B-rank mission due to the presence of the missing nins. However, the T-daimyo had no facilities to house the missing nins, so they would be brought back to Konoha for interrogation before being sent back to their respective countries. Anko had agreed, assuring that any sensitive information would be passed on as needed. The trio spent the next 2 days enjoying the sights of Tea Country before returning home to the Fire Country, their mission completed, and their spirits lifted after a well-earned break. Naruko immediately slumped to the ground in exhaustion after arriving a mile outside Konoha. Wow, this is the first time I've tried doing mass teleportation over such a long distance. I didn't realize it would take so much chakra to pull off, she gasped out, already feeling Kyubi slowly replenishing her chakra reserves. The fox didn't want to do it all at once, as that might strain Naruko's already delicate chakra coils. Yakumo immediately fished a chakra pill from her pouch and handed it to Naruko, who gratefully accepted it and popped it into her mouth. She could feel about a third of her chakra being restored, in addition to Kyubi's efforts. Consider it a learning experience, Naruko, said Anko, plopping down beside her and unsealing 3 sticks of dengo she'd bought in tea. She passed one to Naruko and another to Yakumo, both of whom gratefully accepted the treat. Do you think you're ready for another round of teleportation? We're almost at the gates. Naruko gave her a playful glare before biting down on a piece of dengo. Did anyone ever tell you that you're lazy, Nichin? Anko nodded, grinning. Yep, Kurenai-chan and Asuma-kun always tell me that, but I tend to ignore them. Besides, I want to get back to the village as soon as possible so we can report in. I already have a few training programs in mind to further improve our skills. I also need to scout for our 4th member. I have a few candidates in mind, but I'm not sure if they'd want to join, she said, finishing off the rest of her dengo before bringing out another stick. The mention of a 4th teammate sparked Naruko and Yakumo's curiosity, with Yakumo being the first to speak up. Really, Anko-sensei? Yakumo asked eagerly. She liked her teammates a lot, but it felt somewhat lonely with just the 3 of them. Having been a recluse in the Kurama clan house for 8 years, she really wanted to meet more people, and the team was her best chance at that. Who do you have in mind? She asked curiously. Anko wagged a finger at her. That would be telling. All I can say is that I'm looking for people with abilities that will complement our team. First, I need to find someone with Jinan rank so you two can attend the Chunin exams in 3 months. Konoha will be the venue this time, so I'd really like for you both to join. I also plan to speak to Hokage-sama about possibly adding more members to the team for diversity. Honestly, calling our group a brigade with only 4 members doesn't sound quite right, she said, frowning slightly. Naruko and Yakumo nodded in agreement. While they didn't voice it, having more people on the team would certainly make things more exciting, especially during missions. Plus, the more people they had, the more missions they could handle, which would help raise their standing among the shinobi ranks. After resting for half an hour, Naruko teleported the group to the east gate. Anko made sure the guards checked them in before Naruko quickly teleported them to the Hokage's office, shocking anyone who happened to witness it. Naruko, Anko, and Yakumo appeared inside the Hokage's office, much to the surprise of Team 7, their sensei Iruka, and the Hokage. The Uchiha didn't notice their arrival at first, as he was too busy demanding a higher-ranked mission from the Hokage, complaining that D-rank missions were mere chores, unworthy of an elite like him. Naruko quickly surveyed the room, understanding what was happening. The Uchiha was demanding a C-rank mission from the Hokage, who seemed exasperated with the persistent Jinan. Deciding to intervene, Anko decided to speak up. Hokage-sama, Tokubutsu Brigade under Mitarashi Anko, reporting back from a C-rank mission that turned into a B-rank, Anko declared, catching everyone off guard. The genins of Team 7 were surprised to learn that Naruko belonged to a team, despite not being assigned one during the initial placement. They were also shocked to hear that she had already completed a C-rank mission. Kakashi, who had already heard of the Tokubutsu Brigade from Kurenai, was similarly surprised to see Naruko as part of it. The Hokage, however, looked perplexed by the mention of the mission's rank change. I want a full debrief on the sudden change in mission rank, Anko, said the Hokage, though he quickly turned to Kakashi. Kakashi, do you think your team is ready for a C-rank mission? It's been less than 2 weeks since their graduation. Kakashi looked up from his book. I think they're ready, Hokage-sama. Their teamwork might need a little more work, but I'll be there to help them if needed, he drawled lazily before returning to his book. The Hokage gave a reluctant nod, then gestured to Iruka, who hesitated before handing him a C-rank mission scroll. The Hokage tossed the scroll to Kakashi. This is a C-rank escort mission to Wave Country. Your client, The bridge builder Tazuna needs an escort from Konoha to Wave to protect him from bandits. Team 7 is assigned to protect him until he finishes his bridge. Any questions? The Hokage asked, his tone firm. No? Good. Team 7, dismissed. After Team 7 left, the Hokage set up a privacy barrier to keep their conversation private. Iruka, surprised by the measure, chose to stay silent and listen. Now, Anko, tell me about your mission, the Hokage requested. Anko passed the signed mission scroll to the Hokage before launching into a detailed report of their mission, with input from Naruko and Yakumo on their respective roles. Iruka was shocked to learn that his favorite blonde student was part of such an exclusive group. He'd heard rumors about a special team under the Hokage's direct command, but he hadn't expected Naruko to be part of it. What surprised him even more was the mission's transformation from a C rank to a B rank due to the unexpected increase in difficulty, with more bandits and even missing nins involved. He couldn't help but admire the abilities and strategies that Naruko had employed with her team, feeling a swell of pride for his student. At the end of the report, the Hokage smiled proudly. I would say that the Tokubutsu Brigade is a great success. I expected you to take a few more days, but you finished the mission early, despite the increase in difficulty, the Hokage said, beaming. For a successful mission, I'll give the brigade 2 days of rest before the next assignment. Enjoy your well-deserved break. Anko, I expect half of the loot tomorrow, as we will use that to fund the brigade's expansion. I'm also looking forward to your proposal for that. Your pay will be deposited in your accounts tomorrow. That's all for now. You're all dismissed, except you, Anko. We have something else to discuss. Anko nodded and turned to her team. Alright, you're free for the day. We'll start a 2-day training period tomorrow, so make sure to get a good night's rest. Naruko and Yakumo nodded before teleporting out of the room, leaving behind 3 contented individuals. Character Bio. Name, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko. Age, 13. Affiliation, Kanahagakure no Sato, Village Hidden in the Leaves rank, Tokubutsu Jinan. Team affiliation, Tokubutsu Brigade. Teammates, Mitarashi Anko, Team Leader, Kurama Yakumo. Bloodline, Chakra Magic, Unofficial Designation, Not Officially Registered Weapon, Ebony and Ivory, Chakra-Powered Guns. Techniques. Rapid Fire, Naruko uses Ebony and Ivory together to unleash rapid fire of low-powered chakra bullets, causing blunt force trauma. The duration depends on Naruko's chakra reserves. Twin Explosion, with both guns, Naruko fires an overpowered chakra bullet that explodes on contact. Each bullet is as powerful as 5 exploding tags. Rail Gun, using 1 to 2 guns, Naruko channels lightning chakra to accelerate the bullet to cage-level speeds, greatly enhancing its piercing power. Stun Bullet, a mild version of the rail gun. Naruko combines neutral and lightning chakra to create a low-powered chakra bullet that disrupts the opponent's nervous system, causing temporary paralysis, numbness, or shock. The effect's duration depends on the lightning chakra infused into the bullet. Weapon, Chakra Chain Armlets, X2. Techniques. Chain Jail, Naruko uses chakra chains to bind an opponent or multiple opponents, restricting their movement. Bloodline abilities. Teleportation, Naruko can teleport, currently able to transport herself and up to 2 other individuals. Transformation, Naruko can change her appearance, though living beings with active chakra running through their bodies are difficult to transform. Creation, Naruko can create objects using chakra. Chakra Shield, a semi-automatic defense technique. Naruko can use this ability for both individual and area-wide defense. Minor fire manipulation, Naruko is capable of producing small fireballs. Advanced telekinesis, Naruko has developed advanced control over her telekinetic abilities. Flight, Naruko can enable group flight, currently allowing her to carry up to 2 others along with her. Taijutsu. Naruko specializes in Tai Chi, which focuses on fluid and controlled movements, contributing to her strength and agility. Ninjutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique, Naruko can create clones of herself to assist in various tasks. Henge no Jutsu, Transformation Technique, Naruko can change her appearance at will. Kawarimi no Jutsu, Body Replacement Technique, Naruko can switch places with an object to avoid an attack. Futon, Grand Breakthrough, Naruko unleashes a powerful gust of wind that can clear obstacles. Futon, Wind Blades, Naruko can manipulate wind to form sharp blades that can slice through targets. Genjutsu. Naruko does not possess advanced genjutsu abilities, but she can detect and dispel genjutsu cast on herself or others. Fuinjutsu. Though Naruko's Fuinjutsu abilities are still being tested, she has already demonstrated some mastery by applying seals to her weapons. Dash. Mission stats. S rank, 0. A rank, 0. B rank, 0. C rank, 1. D rank, 0. Dash. Ability limitations. Transformation. Naruko cannot transform living beings that have active chakra running through their bodies. Transformation is possible but requires more chakra depending on the target's control and chakra level. Teleportation. The chakra required for teleportation depends on the distance and number of people being transported. The chakra usage increases with each additional passenger. Naruko and Yakumo materialized in the living room. Upon looking around, Naruko noticed that the room could use a bit of tidying up, as the dust on the table indicated. It occurred to her that no one would be tending to the house during their extended mission. While she wasn't worried about potential intruders due to the security seals she had placed around the compound, she realized she needed someone to care for the place when they were away. She made a mental note to talk to Anko about it later. Deciding to spend the day working on her experiments in her lab, Naruko glanced at Yakumo, who was comfortably lounging on the couch with a peaceful smile. Naruko couldn't help but smile back at the tranquil expression on her teammate's face. "Are you going to stay here all day, Yakumo-chan?" she asked her teammate. Yakumo shook her head, her eyes already half closed in preparation for a nap. "I think I'll go to the village after a quick nap to look around. Besides, we didn't stock up on much food before we left, so I'll need to grab some groceries," Yakumo said, her eyes now fully closed. Naruko blushed a little at the direct comment since she was the one usually in charge of cooking and food supplies. "Sorry, Yakumo-chan. Do you want me to come with you?" she asked, hoping to make up for her earlier mistake. Yakumo waved her off casually. "No need. You already left me a list on the fridge, so I'll just use that to grab what we need. Besides, going shopping with you always takes too long. I'll take care of it, so you can do whatever you want," Yakumo murmured as she drifted off to sleep. Naruko shook her head with a small chuckle, then used her chakra to create 2 shadow clones, instructing them to clean the house while she moved on to her study. Her study was located at the center of the house, filled with her personal journals, technique scrolls, and various interesting books she had asked Yakumo to pick up from the village bookstore. However, the true highlight of the study was the hidden entrance to her secret laboratory, where she conducted her experiments. Naruko walked over to one of the bookcases and pulled out a book titled The Secret Garden. She channeled chakra into a seal hidden along the book's edge. This was a key seal, a special mechanism she had designed to protect the entrance to her secret space. The corresponding lock seal was located behind the bookcase, connected to a modified lock that only she and Anko could open. Initially, the seal only recognized Naruko's chakra, but she later added Anko's as an extra precaution. The seal on the book glowed briefly before fading, causing the bookcase to shudder and slide aside, revealing a door that led down a set of stairs. Naruko replaced the book on the shelf and descended the stairs, but not before sealing the entrance once more, ensuring the door closed securely behind her. The room was temporarily plunged into darkness, but the lights automatically flickered on as she entered, illuminating the way down. Another barrier lay ahead, but Naruko placed her hand on a seal in the door's center and channeled her chakra. This was another chakra identification seal, ensuring that only she could access the lab. The door clicked open, granting Naruko entry. Inside her laboratory, Naruko was greeted by the sight of various unfinished experiments, each displaying a unique potential. She smiled as her eyes landed on a particular project that had her particularly excited, an 8-foot-tall cross made of chakra metal. The surface of the metal was etched with various seals she had perfected over time. Walking over to a nearby table stacked with journals, she picked one up to review the notes on this particular weapon. Project Crucifix. Type, gun/chakra cannon. Weight, 15 kilograms. Chassis, chakra metal. Seals, durability seal, anti-gravity seal, chakra battery seal, 5, chakra compression seal, acceleration/propellant seal, conduction seal, mild explosion seal, trigger. Function. Concept similar to ebony and ivory, the crucifix was designed as a heavy artillery weapon with 3 primary functions. Function 1, regular bullets, uses channeled chakra to fire medium-powered chakra bullets. Function 2, burst bullets, requires more chakra from the user to fire high-powered chakra bullets. Function 3, exploding bullet, uses a larger reserve of chakra to create a powerful explosion on impact, equivalent to 20 explosive tags. Support functions. Chakra Battery X5, Crucifix is equipped with 5 chakra batteries. Each battery is capable of powering 1 exploding bullet. Additional chakra from the user replenishes these batteries. Experiment status: untested. Additional notes: although it has yet to be tested with Kyuubi's chakra, experiments suggest this is feasible. Naruko smiled at the details. If this project succeeded, she wouldn't have to worry about any enemy forces overpowering her team. The weapon's power could potentially shift the balance of power in her favor. Kyuubi's voice interrupted her thoughts. I still can't believe you made this creation. His words echoed through her mind. Naruko chuckled, tracing her fingers over the cool surface of the weapon. After I finished Ebony and Ivory, I found other weapons in the comics my clones read, and I just had to try them out. Crucifix is my next big step. It's bigger, better, and more powerful than both Ebony and Ivory. Let's hope it works, Kyuubi muttered, skeptical. It will work, Q, Naruko assured him confidently. Its design is similar to my guns, and I made sure everything was built according to my specifications. Trust me, this is going to be a game changer. She grinned, imagining the impact it would have in battle. I just hope you're not planning to use it on me, Kyuubi grumbled. Naruko laughed. Don't worry. It's a surprise for our enemies, not for you. After sealing the weapon away in a storage scroll, Naruko decided to visit the Hokage to discuss a location where she could test it safely, away from the village. She knew she had to keep the weapon's existence a secret for now, and she shuddered at the thought of what might happen if their enemies learned of it. With that thought in mind, she left her lab, whistling as she teleported silently to the Hokage's office. Naruko appeared in the Hokage's office, catching the elderly leader by surprise. Hey, Gigi. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, she said cheerfully, a playful grin on her face. She had clearly noticed her honorary grandfather quickly slipping an orange book up his sleeve upon seeing her. The Hokage cleared his throat, looking mildly embarrassed, before offering a warm smile. Not at all, Naruko-chan. Just taking a little break while my clones handle the paperwork. He gestured to the side where 3 shadow clones were diligently working through stacks of mission scrolls and reports. Despite their exaggerated expressions of annoyance, the original Hokage seemed completely unbothered. What brings you here? Shouldn't you be relaxing after your latest mission? I'm already feeling pretty rested, Naruko replied with a shrug. Actually, I came to ask if there's a training ground outside the village I can use. I want to test out a new tool I've been working on, and I'd prefer to do it away from prying eyes. This piqued the Hokage's interest. He knew Naruko had been spending a lot of time beneath her mansion in Training Ground 43, working on various projects. I might have just the place, he said thoughtfully, stroking his beard. It's a secluded training area once used exclusively by Hokage. I'll have to take you there myself. Naruko's eyes lit up with excitement. Please, Gigi. I promise you won't be disappointed. The Hokage chuckled softly. No matter how much Naruko matured as a shinobi, her love for invention made her as enthusiastic as ever. All right then. Let's head over now so you can show me what you've built, he said as he stood up and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. In an instant, they vanished from the office in a flicker of motion. The hidden training ground was located about 2 miles beyond the village, nestled quietly behind the Hokage monument. It had been created by the first and second Hokage, using their unique abilities to shape the land. Towering trees encircled the area, resembling those in the Forest of Training, and a tall waterfall on one end made it ideal for elemental practice. The space was also equipped with practice dummies, wooden targets, and even a rather challenging obstacle course. Naruko whistled in appreciation as she took it all in. This place is amazing, Gigi. Did you train here a lot? The Hokage nodded fondly, his expression touched by nostalgia. This was where I trained under the first and second Hokage. They built this place to challenge and shape future leaders. Naruko nodded, her curiosity bubbling. Well then, let me show you what I've been working on. With a flourish, she pulled out a storage scroll and unsealed a large, unique-looking weapon in front of the Hokage. It was shaped like a cross and stood over 8 feet tall, gleaming with intricate seals and polished craftsmanship. What in the world is that? The Hokage asked, equal parts intrigued and astonished. This is one of my most recent creations, the heavy arms, crucifix, Naruko said proudly, admiring her invention. The Hokage stepped closer, examining the elaborate lines and seals etched along the weapon. Impressive work. What does it do? Naruko handed him a thick notebook filled with blueprints and notes. As he read through the technical details, his eyes widened with awe. I had no idea you were this far along in your engineering. This is truly impressive, Naruko-chan. Naruko nodded, her voice filled with excitement. After creating my other prototypes, I wanted to challenge myself even more. Crucifix is different, it's meant for long-range testing and operates using my enhanced chakra battery seals. She pointed to the central part of the weapon. The middle of the cross has a handle and a trigger. It draws chakra directly from the user, storing it in multiple built-in batteries. Then, the energy is compressed and released as a focus blast. It's fully charged now, so we can run a proper test. Naruko raised a hand and formed a large boulder in the distance using a creative jutsu. The Hokage was already used to her surprising abilities, so he simply waited as she prepared to fire. With a focused breath, Naruko lifted the heavy weapon and aimed. She could feel her chakra flowing into the battery system as the seals on the weapon began to glow. A bright blue light formed at the base of the cross. When she pulled the trigger, a large sphere of energy launched from the weapon, flying at high speed toward the boulder. A moment later, a loud sound echoed through the area as the energy made contact. The force pushed both Naruko and the Hokage back slightly. Once the dust settled, they stared in amazement at the result. A wide crater had replaced the boulder, with small trees and dummies around it knocked from their places. Whoa! I knew it was strong, but that was incredible, Naruko whispered. The Hokage slowly nodded. That's quite a remarkable invention. From this moment on, consider it an S-class secret. Who else knows about this? Just Anko, and now you. I'm planning to show Yakumo once I finish refining it, Naruko replied, running a quick diagnostic on the weapon. Everything was intact. Good, the Hokage said seriously. Let's keep it between trusted individuals only. Is there anything else you're testing today? Naruko hesitated for a moment before nodding. Kyubi wanted to see how his chakra would interact with crucifix. We've tried it with ebony and ivory, and it boosted their output. I figured we should try it with this one too. The Hokage's eyes narrowed with concern but said nothing as Naruko prepared for the second test. She aimed again, this time at a more distant, dense section of the forest. Alright, Q. Let's see what this can really do. I've been waiting for this, the Nine-Tails replied, sending a small, steady stream of his energy into her chakra system. As the power flowed into crucifix, the seals turned a deep, glowing red, and the air around the weapon buzzed with energy. Naruko took a deep breath and pulled the trigger again. This time, a vibrant red beam surged forward, cutting through the forest with immense precision and intensity. Naruko gripped the weapon with both hands to handle the force, anchoring her feet firmly to the ground. The energy surged for a full 10 seconds before fading out. When the light dimmed, a long, smooth trench was all that remained where the forest once stood. Trees had been cleared out, and the landscape had completely changed. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. What do you think? Naruko asked, her voice light with a touch of nervousness. The Hokage exhaled slowly. Make that an SS-class secret. No one else is to know about this, understood? Naruko nodded quickly, staring at the gently steaming tip of her invention. Hiruzen Sarutobi was currently enjoying a peaceful moment in his favorite massage chair, reflecting on the remarkable events that had recently taken place at the Hokage training grounds. He was still in awe over Naruko's latest invention, a powerful tool with the potential to match the strength of a tailed beast's most formidable techniques. Though it required immense chakra, especially from a tailed beast, to activate fully, the results were nothing short of astonishing. Following the test, Naruko had transported them back to the Hokage's office, where they discussed the mechanics and implications of the weapon, affectionately named Crucifix. After an hour of careful deliberation, they came to 3 critical decisions. 1. All of Naruko's experimental creations, whether tools or techniques, would be classified as clan secrets, accessible only to her and her future family members. 2. Crucifix would remain a unique creation. Naruko agreed not to replicate it to prevent the risk of it falling into the wrong hands. However, the Hokage noted, with a chuckle, that Naruko could keep it around, just in case someone made the poor decision to challenge the safety of the village. 3. The weapon, along with any future inventions, would be protected by a combination of chakra and blood seals. Only Naruko and her direct descendants would be capable of activating them. With the formalities concluded, Hiruzen sent Naruko off with a warm smile. She returned it with a mischievous grin, hinting that she either had a prank in mind or another project ready to be started. Despite his concern about her unpredictable creativity, Hiruzen trusted Naruko completely. He knew she would never create something that would endanger the hidden leaf. His heart swelled with pride as he thought of her not only as an extraordinary shinobi but also as family. Back at home, Naruko teleported into her personal laboratory, her mind buzzing with excitement over Crucifix's potential. Though the weapon was functional, she felt there were improvements to be made, particularly to the seal matrix. It needed better control mechanisms to stabilize its power output and reduce the activation delay. "Hey, partner. Congratulations on Crucifix," the nine-tailed fox, QB, said supportively. "Thanks, Q. Though I noticed the energy output was a bit sluggish. There's a 3-second delay when triggering it, so I'll have to fine-tune the seals," Naruko replied thoughtfully. "You'll figure it out, like you always do. But we need to talk, one thing about the weapon and something else I found out from T-Country," QB added. "Let's start with the weapon then," Naruko said, curious. "It's just a suggestion, try not to rely too heavily on my chakra. You're doing great managing up to 2 tails worth of it, but your body isn't meant to sustain that kind of energy for long periods. You're better off enhancing your own chakra output." Naruko nodded. "That's why I keep up with my training. I want to be able to hold my own without needing to tap into yours." "Exactly. That's why you should modify the seals so that they mimic the power of my chakra but operate solely with your own. What you did earlier resembled a tailed beast's energy sphere. If you can recreate that with your chakra, it'd be a game changer." "I didn't know tailed beasts had signature techniques like that. But you're right. If I increase the chakra battery's capacity and upgrade the compression seals, I could simulate the effect," Naruko said, already sketching ideas in her mind. "Glad to hear it. Now, about the second topic, there's an island in T-Country. One of your shadow clones stumbled upon it. It's a place I know very well." "What's on the island?" Naruko asked, intrigued. "My personal collection. I gathered rare and powerful items over the centuries and stored them in a hidden cave, protected by my chakra." Naruko's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. But what if someone's already taken it all?" "Not possible. The cave can only be opened with my chakra signature. And there are things in there that could really help you." "What kind of things?" she pressed. QB chuckled. "That's for me to know and for you to find out." "Q." She whined, but the fox stayed silent. "Just arrange a mission to the area, and I'll guide you when the time comes. Your teammates can come too, there's enough in there that might help them as well." All right. I'll talk to Grandpa Hokage when we get assigned something nearby," she mumbled, still mildly frustrated by the lack of details. After a short break for training and rest, Naruko and her team, the Tokubutsu Brigade, resumed their missions. Anko, their instructor, introduced more advanced training methods. For Naruko, this meant honing her chakra control for better weapon management and improving the abilities granted by her unique lineage. Yakumo, one of her teammates, focused on physical conditioning. Her training was intensified with weights and a rigorous routine set by Anko, aiming to balance her skills with the rest of the team. Meanwhile, Naruko frequently asked Anko about the recruitment of a new teammate. So far, no one had been selected who complemented the group's dynamics, but Anko assured her that updates would be given soon. After all, Naruko served as the team's second in command. Although the team's assignments were relatively simple for their skill level, escorting travelers, helping nearby settlements, and dealing with minor threats, the Hokage explained that these missions were essential. They were meant to build experience and establish a strong foundation before being entrusted with more complex operations. Naruko was initially disappointed but accepted the reasoning. Over the course of 2 months, the team remained stationed in the Land of Fire, which unfortunately meant that Naruko had no opportunity to visit the island QB mentioned. She expressed her frustration, but the Hokage reminded her that such journeys could only happen within mission parameters. Despite her tight schedule, Naruko still found time for her inventions. Though she hadn't yet replicated the energy sphere QB described, she successfully resolved many of Crucifix's initial issues. For instance, she refined its energy output system, allowing the weapon to adapt better to different combat situations. One of her proudest achievements was the communication seal, a headset system linked to a control panel on the Hokage's desk. With this, the entire team could stay in constant contact, and the Hokage could track their location anywhere within the country. Though not yet tested outside of the Fire Country, it was a promising upgrade. Another breakthrough was the hoverboard. Designed using chakra-infused metals and sealing techniques, the board featured a set of seals that absorbed natural energy and the user's chakra. A special bracelet worn by the user controlled the direction and speed, while also serving as a storage seal for easy transport. Naruko enhanced each board with her chakra magic, making them light, durable, and capable of converting natural energy into chakra. This reduced strain on the user and made them an efficient mode of transportation. Some of her more ambitious projects had to be set aside due to limited time and mission demands, but Naruko was far from done. With her curiosity and creativity, the future promised even more fascinating discoveries. Yakumo, meanwhile, focused her efforts on enhancing her genjutsu techniques. After their first real field mission, she realized her offensive and defensive skills needed improvement. Although she had been serving mainly in a support role within the team, she aspired for more impact during combat. Motivated to grow stronger, Yakumo began expanding her technique repertoire, aiming for more precise and effective illusions. Rather than wide-range effects, Yakumo chose to specialize in single-target genjutsu for now. This adjustment allowed her to conserve chakra and maintain energy through extended engagements, ensuring she could assist her teammates effectively when it mattered most. Naruko was seated at her desk, jotting down notes for future projects, when the intercom buzzed with an urgent message from the Hokage. Tokubutsu Brigade. Please report to the Hokage's office immediately. Pack for a 2-week mission. Naruko looked up from her notes, sensing the gravity in the Hokage's voice. With a thoughtful frown, she slid her journal onto a nearby shelf, marked her page, and rose from her workspace. She stepped out of her lab and into the hallway, where she encountered a slightly flustered Yakumo. Naruko-san. Did you get the Hokage's message too? Yakumo asked as she emerged from the kitchen. Naruko nodded. Yeah. Gigi sounds really serious. Is Anko Nichin around? I looked for her before I found you, but I think she already left the compound. You should try calling her, Yakumo suggested as they made their way into the armory. The Namikaze Uzumaki household's armory was well organized and thoroughly stocked by Naruko with help from both Yakumo and Anko. Each of them contributed based on their individual strengths. Naruko, with her unique creation ability, had equipped the armory with a wide range of shinobi tools and supplies: kunai, shuriken, senbon, windmill shuriken, tents, sleeping gear, and a variety of specialized seals, such as chakra suppression seals, shock seals, and mist seals. While Naruko could create most tools on the spot, she maintained a ready stockpile for her teammates, who didn't share her ability. Yakumo, with her training under Tsunade and her interest in medical ninjutsu, provided the team with a variety of healing supplies. These included chakra pills, nutritious energy bars, which Anko still protested against, first aid kits, bandages, splints, and salves, ensuring their team was always prepared for recovery in the field. Anko contributed from her expertise in toxin-based techniques. She had several weapons coated with non-lethal yet highly effective poisons, safely stored in a chakra-sealed cabinet to prevent misuse. Her antidotes were also part of their standard emergency gear. Go ahead and grab what we need, Naruko said, directing Yakumo to the shelves while pulling a communicator from her coat pocket. Placing it in her ear, she activated it with a touch of chakra. Anko Nichin? She called through the device while sorting through tags for the mission. Static crackled briefly before Anko's voice came through. What's up, kiddo? We just got a call from the Hokage. He wants us in his office right away, and we need to pack for a 2-week mission, Naruko informed her as she carefully sealed shock, mist, and utility tags into a scroll and pocketed it. I wonder what the old man's up to? Did he say anything else? Not much. Just that it's urgent. Want me to pack something for you? Yakumo and I are in the armory. Yeah, pack my usual gear. Oh, and grab the purple scroll from my special cabinet, Anko replied. The sound of wind in the background suggested she was already en route to the Hokage Tower before the line cut off. Naruko paused. The purple scrolls were some of Anko's most refined work, crafted using her snake summon's venom. Realizing the significance, Naruko quickly retrieved the scroll and added it to their supplies. 5 minutes later, Naruko and Yakumo arrived at the Hokage's office via teleportation. Instead of backpacks, they relied on storage seals marked on their hands, keeping their supplies compact and easily accessible. Inside the office, Anko was already there, sitting on a couch and reviewing a mission scroll with a focused expression. The Hokage's stern look confirmed the seriousness of the situation. What's going on, Gigi? Sorry it took a while, we had to finish packing, Naruko said as she sat beside Anko, with Yakumo on her other side. The Hokage nodded and began his briefing. We received an urgent support request from Kakashi. Team 7 is currently escorting a bridge builder to the Land of Waves. It was originally a C-rank assignment, but they've encountered unexpected resistance. Based on the situation, it could escalate to an A rank. Who did they run into? Naruko asked, already guessing. The Demon Brothers, the Hokage replied. You're right in thinking they're associated with Momochi Zabuza. That's why Kakashi requested reinforcements. If Team 7 is facing someone like Zabuza, they'll need additional support. That's where your team comes in. Naruko's eyes sharpened in understanding. I'm officially assigning the Tokubutsu Brigade to join Team 7. Your mission parameters are now linked. You'll protect the bridge builder, Tazuna, and assist in uncovering and neutralizing Gato's involvement. He appears to be the one who hired Zabuza to sabotage the bridge project. You're authorized for Class A mission protocols. The Tokubutsu Brigade exchanged glances, each member quietly registering the shift in responsibility. It was no longer a simple support mission, this was an opportunity to protect lives and confront a genuine threat together as a team. Class had recently become an official component of the Tokubutsu Brigade's mission system. Thanks to Naruko's remarkable inventions and the group's specialized skills, their combined capabilities had become powerful enough that the Hokage decided to implement a tiered authorization system for mission tools and techniques to ensure careful and responsible usage. Class C authorization included standard shinobi equipment and techniques, typically ranging from Junin to Jounin level, and involving D to S rank techniques. This was the default classification for most missions. Class B was designated for advanced missions involving complex objectives such as infiltration or sabotage. This level permitted the use of powerful tools, such as specialized explosive tags created by Naruko, Anko's summon creatures, and Yakumo's more disorienting genjutsu. Their first mission in T country was noted as Class B in their confidential reports. Class A applied to larger scale operations. Each member had different tools authorized under this class. For Anko, it meant access to her most potent but non-lethal poisons. Yakumo could use wide-range genjutsu capable of incapacitating groups without long-term harm. Naruko's authorization involved limited use of her crucifix device, its presence had to remain hidden unless absolutely necessary. Class S, however, was exclusively reserved for Naruko. It granted her access to the crucifix's ultimate technique, the chakra beam, powered by the energy of the nine-tailed fox. This class was used only in critical situations, and even then, with great caution. Although most shinobi could use any technique they possessed for mission success, the Tokubutsu Brigade followed these permissions to maintain balance and secrecy, particularly to protect Naruko's inventions from discovery. If other nations became aware of these tools, it could lead to dangerous consequences, including attempts to acquire them by force. Are you certain we need Class A clearance, Hokage-sama? Anko asked with concern. She wasn't opposed to higher-level missions but worried about exposing Naruko's secret projects. The Hokage gave a solemn nod. I hope it's not necessary, but new intelligence suggests you may face a force similar in size and strength to your previous T country assignment, said Sarutobi. Gato, the businessman in question, is known for hiring skilled mercenaries and missing nin to advance his agenda. If that happens, Class A tools may be required. Anko nodded, her expression serious but confident. Understood, Hokage-sama. The Tokubutsu Brigade is ready. We'll depart immediately. Excellent. Keep me updated throughout your mission, Sarutobi instructed. Then he turned to Naruko. The communicators may not work perfectly at that distance, but I want you to test their range in the field. Naruko nodded. She hadn't yet tested the full range of her latest communication project, and this mission would serve as a good trial. You got it, Gramps, she replied with a small smile. With a flick of her wrist, she tossed a purple scroll to Anko, who caught it effortlessly and tucked it into her pouch. Sarutobi didn't even blink, he trusted Anko to use her gear wisely. Very well. You're all dismissed. Be cautious. Naruko, Anko, and Yakumo nodded, then disappeared from the office in a flash, leaving the Hokage to return to his reading with a chuckle. Naruko was adjusting a small gadget on her bracelet while Anko spoke with the gate guards, trying to confirm whether Kakashi had signed out of the village. Instead of heading directly to the Land of Waves, the team had decided to trace Kakashi's path and meet with his squad along the way. Soon, Anko returned with a satisfied grin. They passed through here, so tracking them will be simple. Time to use the hoverboards, Naruko-chan, she said with a laugh, noticing how her little sister's eyes lit up at the mention of her favorite invention. Awesome. That'll make it easy to follow the trail, Naruko replied, snapping her fingers. A pair of dark-tinted glasses materialized in mid-air, gently floating before she caught them and turned to show Anko and Yakumo. What do those do? Yakumo asked, noting the intricate ceiling symbols etched on the frame. Naruko beamed with excitement. Q and I worked on these recently. They replicate the ability to see chakra trails, kind of like a toned-down version of the Byakugan and Sharingan. With ease, tracking Kakashi is a breeze if his chakra still lingers. She put the shades on and activated the seals. Within moments, faint trails of white energy began to appear, Kakashi's chakra signature among them. "Perfect," Naruko exclaimed. "Kakashi's chakra stands out so much, it's hard to miss." "I must admit, this wouldn't have worked without your unique abilities," said QB, observing through Naruko's senses. "Thanks for the idea, Q. You really gave me the push I needed," Naruko said sincerely. "Of course I did," QB replied playfully. "So, did you get a good read on his path?" Anko asked, eager to move. Naruko nodded and handed the shades over. Anko whistled softly after putting them on. "Impressive work, Naruko-chan. Let's go." The team headed out through the gates and ran for several miles before stopping. Each member unsealed their personalized hover boards, Naruko's in blue, Anko's in purple, and Yakumo's in a dark gray. They stepped onto their boards, infused chakra into them, and zoomed off, hovering several feet above the ground at high speeds. After about 10 minutes, Anko signaled a halt. Up ahead, tied to a tree, were two unconscious figures. "Well now. Kakashi left you two here without notifying the Hokage. That's a bit careless," Anko remarked as she looked over the pair of sleeping shinobi. Naruko inspected them, then reached for her dual pistols, ebony and ivory. "Do we need to ask them anything, Anko Nichin?" she asked while preparing a low-powered stun charge. Anko shook her head. "All right then. I'll stun them and call in a team to pick them up," Naruko said cheerfully. She fired her stun bullets, one for each. The effect was a bit exaggerated. The two missing nin jerked awake from the jolt of chakra before promptly passing out again, smoke lightly curling from their clothes. "Oops," Naruko said with a sheepish laugh as she holstered her tools. "You think?" Yakumo replied dryly, eyeing the scene with amusement. Naruko smiled, then activated her communicator with a small pulse of chakra. "Hey, Gramps. Got something for you." "Hello, Naruko-chan. It's a bit early for a call, something going on?" came the Hokage's curious voice through the earpiece. "All good here, Gigi," Naruko replied cheerfully. "We came across the demon brothers on our way to the Land of Waves. I used my stun bullet technique to subdue them and was hoping to request a team to retrieve them." "Understood, Naruko-chan. Where are they located?" 2 miles north of the village gate. Just have the team follow the path. They're safely restrained by a tree along the road. Over and out." Naruko ended the communication and gave Anko a nod to keep moving. "What did he say?" Anko asked as they followed Kakashi's chakra trail. "He's sending a team to pick up the demon brothers. That's all," Naruko replied calmly. Anko gave a nod of approval. "All right, team. Let's pick up the pace and catch up to Team 7. The sooner we reunite, the better." Kakashi, meanwhile, was having one of those moments that made his responsibilities feel particularly heavy. Leading a Genin squad was rewarding in its own right, but having a team that lacked cohesion was challenging. Despite having a decent mission success rate, the team dynamics were less than ideal. He had been outvoted when it came to continuing the mission. As the leader, he could have overridden the decision, but he'd allowed the team to weigh in, perhaps out of habit or fatigue. In hindsight, it was a mistake born of his usual nonchalance. Predictably, Sasuke had insisted they press on, likely trying to prove himself an inch closer to surpassing his older brother. Sakura, ever supportive of Sasuke, backed him without question. Kakashi grimaced slightly, recalling the overly enthusiastic recommendations she had received from the academy, something he now suspected had been exaggerated. Sai, the quiet and mysterious third member of the team, simply went along with the majority. Kakashi couldn't shake the feeling that Sai had been assigned for reasons beyond standard Genin placement. His behavior and mannerisms hinted at a past with a covert program known as Root, which had supposedly been disbanded. Their journey to the Land of Waves had gone smoothly after the Demon Brothers' encounter. Still, Kakashi's instincts warned him that something significant was ahead, and his instincts rarely failed. Upon arrival, they were enveloped in thick mist, making travel dangerous. It was Kakashi's heightened senses that allowed him to detect and warn his team just as a large blade spun their way. Zabuza had arrived. A skirmish broke out, leading to Kakashi being caught in a water prison technique. He ordered his team to retreat with their client, but pride and inexperience complicated things. Now, Kakashi found himself trapped, watching helplessly as Sasuke tried to face Zabuza's clones, which, although not as strong as the original, were still formidable. He winced as Sasuke was knocked back while attempting to use a fire technique. "That team of yours isn't looking so strong, Kakashi," Zabuza remarked with amusement, watching the battle unfold. "I expected more from the team of the famed copy ninja." Kakashi didn't respond with words, only a hard stare. Internally, he was searching for any opportunity to escape and support his students. Meanwhile, the Tokubutsu brigade skimmed across the water on hoverboards, following Kakashi's chakra trail. At their current pace, they would arrive in 5 minutes. "Hey, you might want to speed up a bit," came the voice of Kyubi, using Naruko's senses to scout ahead. "I just picked up a powerful chakra burst. Definitely Jounin level, and it's not Kakashi." "You know," Naruko muttered, "you really should teach me how to do that." "Then what would I be here for?" "No way. You're not getting that trick from me," Kyubi responded smugly. "You're the worst," Naruko mumbled. The teasing fox radiated satisfaction. Turning on her communicator, Naruko alerted the others. "Anko Nichin, Yakumo-chan, Q sensed a Jounin level chakra burst up ahead, and it doesn't belong to Kakashi." "Any idea who or what it might be?" Anko asked, already strategizing. "Not exactly, but if I had to guess, I'd say it could be someone like Zabuza." Naruko's voice had a hint of excitement. "Plans, Anko-sensei?" Yakumo chimed in. "If it is Zabuza, we'll need to be cautious. First, we assess the situation. We'll hover at 70 feet and keep out of sight. Yakumo, keep us cloaked in genjutsu. Naruko's illusions release too much chakra, they'd sense us immediately. Once we get a visual, we'll plan from there." "Roger that, Anko Nichin," Naruko confirmed, echoed by Yakumo. They ascended into the mist, visibility shrinking. Guided by Kyubi, they reached a lake inland. The scene below revealed a troubling picture. Kakashi was trapped, and his team was struggling. "Doesn't look good down there," Anko commented. "Yeah. Ouch," Naruko winced as Sasuke was hit hard by a Zabuza clone. "That's gotta sting." "First priority is freeing Kakashi," Anko said. "I'm familiar with the technique. Zabuza needs to maintain physical contact for the water prison to work. Disrupt that, and it collapses." Naruko nodded and began observing. An idea formed. "I've got this," she said confidently. "I'll handle freeing Kakashi. You two get behind Team 7 and prepare to intercept once he's out." Naruko pulled out a scroll from her coat, one storing her secret weapon. Anko and Yakumo looked on in surprise. "What are you planning, Naruko-san?" Yakumo asked, cautiously maintaining their cover. "You'll see," Naruko replied with a smirk, rising higher into the mist. Reaching a strategic height, she unsealed Crucifix, her latest creation. After making modifications, it now allowed her to bypass the chakra battery for a direct energy boost. She began charging it, aiming carefully toward the center of the lake. Once fully charged, she steadied the device, took aim, and fired. A basketball-sized sphere of concentrated chakra shot from Crucifix, hitting the lake's center with only a small splash. Moments later, a bright light flared beneath the water, then a massive ripple and shockwave followed. Zabuza sensed the incoming chakra too late. A wave surged from the center of the lake, racing toward him. He immediately leapt to safety, releasing his technique in the process. Kakashi, momentarily disoriented, suddenly found the prison around him vanish. Before the wave reached him, a hand grasped his arm and whisked him to safety. From her hiding spot, Anko gave a proud smile as she watched Naruko's strategy succeed. The explosion had been timed perfectly, forcing Zabuza to react and freeing Kakashi. "Nice work, Naruko," she muttered. Though she wished the Hokage had approved the creation of another crucifix, she couldn't help but admire Naruko's brilliance. The mission had just taken a major turn, and now, with Kakashi back in action and the element of surprise on their side, Team Tokubutsu was ready to shift the tide of the battle. Yakumo quietly landed a few meters behind Team 7 and their client. She quickly sealed her hoverboard back into her bracelet to avoid drawing attention and focused on observing the group in front of her. Team 7 appeared to be in rough shape, and their client, who she assumed was Tazuna, the bridge builder, was nervously sheltering behind them. She gave a small, exasperated sigh as she assessed the Uchiha, who clearly needed medical attention based on his disheveled appearance. Next, she spotted their pink-haired teammate, visibly trembling and clutching a kunai with uncertain hands, as though hoping it would protect her from the formidable shinobi standing against them. Another teammate, a pale boy with dark hair, was unconscious, though the reason was unknown to her. Her gaze shifted upward when she noticed a glowing sphere plunge into the surface of the lake, followed by a splash. That must be Naruko and one of her new inventions, she thought, with a mix of admiration and mild frustration. She really enjoys making dramatic entrances. A powerful surge of water from the resulting wave momentarily startled Yakumo, though she managed to suppress any complaint about her energetic teammates' tactics. A movement caught her eye after the blast. She saw her team leader quickly retrieve Kakashi from the water before vanishing. A moment later, she sensed Anko's chakra signature reappear about 10 feet to her left, likely using Yakumo's position as a regrouping point. Sighing, Yakumo stepped from her hiding spot and made her way toward the down Team 7, silently flipping through hand signs to activate one of her protective illusions. Dash. Naruko smiled confidently as she hovered above the lake on her board, admiring the enormous wave she'd just created with her latest tool, Crucifix. She saw Anko retrieve Kakashi and move them both to safety. I wonder where Yakumo-chan is? She mused, sealing Crucifix back into its scroll and stowing it away. She's behind Team 7. Your sister is to her left, came Kyuubi's calm voice, utilizing Naruko's senses to help track their allies. Thanks, Q. I should get ready for the next part of the plan. She was just about to activate her communicator when a sudden movement caught her attention. Zabuza had reappeared in front of Team 7 and was rapidly weaving hand signs. Oh no. Yakumo's there too, Naruko murmured, her expression growing serious as she teleported instantly to a spot just in front of Team 7. Dash. Zabuza quietly evaluated the situation after managing to land safely, despite the unexpected blast and powerful wave that had surged through the lake. He had no idea what that sphere of energy was, but clearly, it had significant power. He chose to investigate it later. Right now, his focus was on the Jinan team ahead of him, still recovering. With a confident smirk hidden behind his mask, he moved swiftly through a sequence of hand signs, preparing to release one of his most powerful techniques. Water style, Water Dragon. He called out. From the water-filled terrain around him, a massive dragon-shaped surge of water formed and lunged forward, aimed directly at Team 7. But before it could land, a flash of golden hair appeared in front of the team. Naruko had arrived, calm and focused as she stared down the incoming attack. In the next moment, a glowing blue dome of chakra sprang up around her and the others, forming a protective barrier. The water dragon struck the dome with immense force, sending a cascade of water in all directions. Zabuza, momentarily triumphant, assumed the attack had broken through, only to stop in surprise when a sudden jolt of pain hit his shoulder. Staggering slightly, he reached for the spot, stunned as he looked ahead. There, still shielded within the dome, stood Naruko, firmly holding a unique weapon whose tip emitted a gentle trail of smoke. Behind her, Kakashi's team remained unharmed, protected under her barrier. Character Bio. Name, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko. Age, 13. Affiliation, Kanahagakure no Sato, Village Hidden in the Leaves Rank, Tokubutsu Jinan. Team Affiliation, Tokubutsu Brigade. Teammates, Mitarashi Anko, Team Leader, Kurama Yakumo. Bloodline Ability, Chakra Magic, Unofficial Designation, Not Formally Registered, Chakra Majutsu. Dash. Primary Weapons. Ebony and Ivory, Chakra-powered dual guns techniques. Rapid Fire, fires a continuous stream of low-powered chakra bullets using both ebony and ivory, causing non-lethal concussive force. The technique's duration depends on Naruko's chakra reserves. Twin Flash, launches overcharged chakra bullets that safely disperse energy upon contact. Each blast has an equivalent impact to 5 standard explosive tags. Rail Charge, utilizes lightning chakra to energize and accelerate a chakra bullet to extremely high speeds, significantly enhancing its precision and impact. Stun Shot, a carefully controlled fusion of neutral and lightning chakra to generate a bullet that gently disrupts muscle control, temporarily slowing or halting the target's movements. Effects may include short-term numbness or paralysis depending on the number of successful strikes. Dash. Heavy Arms Weapon, Crucifix. Techniques. Standard Shot, a moderately powered chakra bullet with double the impact of Naruko's Twin Flash. Requires half a chakra battery. Burst Round, high-powered chakra burst equivalent to the effect of 10 energy tags. Requires a full chakra battery. Surge Round, an enhanced version of the burst round, magnified to the strength of 20 energy tags. Requires a direct infusion of chakra. Chakra Beam, emits a highly concentrated ray of energy, derived from Kurama's chakra, demonstrating immense force. Requires direct use of chakra from Kurama. Dash. Additional equipment. Chakra Chain Armlets, X2, Technique. Chain Bind, Generates chakra chains to gently restrain opponents for tactical immobilization. Dash. Bloodline abilities. Teleportation. Enables transportation of herself and up to 2 others. Chakra consumption increases with the number of passengers and the distance. Transformation. Capable of transforming non-living objects. Living beings with active chakra are more challenging and require significantly more energy. Creation ability. Can create various chakra-based constructs. Chakra shield. Offers automatic, adjustable shielding that can defend areas or individuals as needed. Minor fire control. Can launch controlled fireballs. Advanced telekinesis. Allows movement of objects or herself with her mind. Flight. Enables self-flight or group flight for up to 3 people. Dash. Taijutsu style, Tai Chi. Ninjutsu techniques. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone technique. Henge no Jutsu, Transformation technique. Kawarimi no Jutsu, Substitution technique. Futon, Grand Breakthrough. Futon, Wind Blades. Dash. Genjutsu. Naruko does not specialize in illusionary techniques but has the ability to detect and dispel genjutsu. Dash. Fuinjutsu, Sealing techniques. Though untested in formal training, Naruko demonstrates impressive natural skill, particularly in applying seals to her weapons. Dash. Mission history. S-rank missions, 0. A-rank missions, 0. B-rank missions, 1. C-rank missions, 9. D-rank missions, 0. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, it really helps a lot. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, this is 6 Path Weeb signing off. Catch you in the next one.